GOP Senator Rob Portman.
We need to know, did the U.S. Capitol Police request approval to seek National Guard assistance prior to January 6th? And if so, why was that request denied?
In written testimony, former U.S. Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund claims former House Sergeant-at-Arms Paul Irving was concerned about the optics of heavy law enforcement. Irving says that's not true, that the National Guard was not called in because the intelligence didn't warrant taking that step.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland in Washington. The White House reports shipments of coronavirus vaccines are increasing. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says about 14.5 million doses will be sent to states this week, an increase of about 70% over the past month. White House coronavirus advisor Jeff Zients told governors that vaccine shipments to pharmacies will increase by about 100,000 doses. About 44 million Americans have received at least one dose of the vaccine. America is listening to Fox News.
If you're a business owner, you don't need us to tell you that running a business is tough. Don't let QuickBooks and spreadsheets slow you down anymore. Now is the time to upgrade to NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite gives you visibility and control over your financials, HR, inventory, e-commerce, and more. Join the over 24,000 companies using NetSuite right now. Schedule your free product tour right now at netsuite.com/Fox. netsuite.com/Fox.
A former Republican Georgia senator has decided to skip the next election cycle.
Former Georgia GOP Senator David Perdue will not run again for the U.S. Senate in the 2022 midterms. Perdue lost his seat in a runoff with Democrat Jon Ossoff after the election in last November. He had been considering a run against Democratic incumbent Raphael Warnock. Perdue calls the decision not to enter the race a personal one and not a political choice. Perdue is 71 years old and is the cousin of former U.S. Agriculture Secretary and former Georgia Governor Sonny Perdue. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell discussed the country's ongoing economic weakness today, indicating the Fed is not likely to change its ultra-low interest rate policies anytime soon. That outlook has also raised concerns about a potential surge in inflation and fueled a sharp increase in longer-term interest rates this year. Most economists say they think the Fed's continued low rates, further government financial aid, and progress in combating the viral pandemic could create a mini economic boom as soon as this summer. An announcement about easing coronavirus lockdowns in Britain has travel companies scrambling.
Britain's largest tour operator, TUI, says bookings increased sixfold yesterday as Prime Minister Boris Johnson revealed plans to lift a coronavirus lockdown over the next few months. Airline EasyJet says demand for flights more than tripled compared with a week ago. Other companies are reporting similar.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
A report on obesity rates released this week by the CDC confirmed that millions of courageous Americans continue to overcome the media's persistent pressure to be thin. Researchers told reporters that while the vast majority of film and television continues to portray thin, in-shape people, over 30% of Americans remain resolved in their effort to stand up to idealized images of men and women.
Every day, people are inundated with unvarying images of slim men and women, but millions of heroic Americans continue doing their best every day to maintain BMIs 35 or higher. fire. These people aren't afraid to fly in the face popular culture deems acceptable and bravely eat and drink whatever they want, whenever they want.
In other news, the nation's single men announce a plan to change their bed sheets by 2019. A woman who left the room crying earlier expects to jump back into the party just like that. And a courtroom artist is clearly infatuated with the bailiff. This 2.5-minute long session of immersion therapy is finally complete. Your crippling fear of watching video news recaps should no longer be a problem. For more, keep checking theonion.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. You can call in and talk about anything you want. That's 603-283-6160. With you tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian. And Mark.
And Mark, I haven't seen you in a very long time, it feels like. You've been off gallivanting around the world doing whatever it is that you do.
I try to make the world safe for liberty.
Okay. Is
like
that
a
working
superhero. That's right. I am Captain Liberty.
How's that working out?
Well, we're doing our best.
Okay.
There's not a moment for sleeping, I can tell you that.
Okay.
First, you have to figure out... my plan is to find a place in the world where, the soil is most fertile for germination of more liberty. And so I'm looking around. One of those places that I often mention on air is the U.S. Marianas. And
right. You lived there briefly last year,
2
correct?
months, and I am still a resident. I was driven off my homeland by the COVID, and so
So you've adopted the Marianas Islands as your homeland?
It is my residence, yes.
Okay.
Yep. It's the freest place in the United States. Where else would a U.S. libertarian go live?
Ian, do you agree that it's the freest place in the United States?
I have not been there, so I can't really speak to that. But it's interesting. I've been very interested to see what Mark said about his time there, and of course, former co-hosts Alex and Vin, who hosted the Marianas Edition for a little while last year. They had interesting things to say, and I've been watching Vin Armani's posts on Twitter over the last year. I think he's been there about a year now, so they seem to be big fans of it.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I would agree that it's going to be freer than, New Hampshire. They all have their ups and downs. For example, isn't gun ownership tightly restricted on the Marianas Islands?
Let's talk to Alex Ugorji, who we should have on the line right now, who is the founder of the Crypto Frontier. Is it cryptofrontier.com, Alex?
cryptofrontier.org.
Terribly sorry.
Jeez, dude, get it together.
Yeah, well, I don't have to go there to be free. I already know.
So tell us about, I had a question for Mark regarding the access to firearms on the Marianas Islands. Is that prohibited? I seem to recall that it was.
No, we are locked and loaded.
Okay.
I went to the shooting range.
We even have a local gun building group where former Army Ranger Paul Murphy is teaching those who are interested how to build their own firearm.
Now, it's not as free as some places when it comes to guns, though, right? Like, you can't open carry a gun in the streets.
Yeah, so definitely the gun rights are not as good as some place like New Hampshire. They're probably about average, maybe a little better than average. We can have the quote-unquote assault rifles, those scary-looking ones, like an AR-15 or AK-47, but there are some restrictions. You do need to apply for a permit to own a gun. There's no constitutional carry here, but we have shell issue. There's also...
Now, they're working on that to some extent, Alex, in so much as people who are active in their sort of Second Amendment groups there are buying guns and letting the police know that they're buying guns and telling them to take a long walk off a short pier regarding registering those guns. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I think the most important thing to realize about the CNMI and probably many of the other free places is freedom extends beyond the law, right? Laws are words on paper. The question is what happens in reality. And the reality is a huge percentage of the population owns firearms, especially the older people. Like Grandpa has been known to fire off a few rounds at the barbecue on 4th of July in the average family here. So there's plenty of unregistered, sometimes fully automatic firearms, many of them from previous wars, whether people bringing home rifles from Vietnam, Korea, and there's a ton of World War II firearms here as well because the Battle of Saipan and some other major battles were fought here.
You could still walk out into the water and sit in a Sherman tank. My son did, I did, my family did. We all went out and visited, I think it was 3 different Sherman tanks off the shore.
Why are there tanks off the shore?
Because the tanks needed to come up to shoot Japanese people.
Okay.
Saipan,
and they just left them there?
The tanks or the Japanese people?
The tanks.
The tanks, they just left them there. Yeah.
Okay.
They're now tourist attractions. Why wouldn't you just leave them there? People love them.
We have some of the best scuba sites. We have fallen airplanes, tanks, and boats from World War II. You can swim down through them and see it for yourself.
It's really awesome.
So Alex, Crypto Frontier is a cryptocurrency-focused project. This isn't like a libertarian migration per se, right?
Yeah, we're focused more on implementing crypto in real life. It's been a great last year or so for cryptocurrencies, but few people are actually using it. All they're doing is gambling in the latest online casino. But when people go to take their money out of the exchange, they realize, wait a second, these fees are crazy. How do I use this crypto in real life? How can I buy a coffee with Bitcoin? That's the problem we're trying to solve, is make it so people can actually use crypto in real life, buy things, and just live using freer money.
Just out of curiosity, are you setting merchants up down there with AnyPay, or are you using a different methodology for getting them to accept cryptocurrency?
Yeah, the main one we use right now is B.Cash. So that's Tobias Ruck's company. He's coming over from Germany. Right now he's finalizing his visa to move over to Saipan. And he developed a pretty cool payments app that allows you to use NFC cards. So like I said, we're trying to make crypto usable. And one of the big problems is using smartphones, scanning QR codes. All of that is confusing for many. For the more tech savvy, it might be effortless, but for grandma, she's going to have some trouble. So what he developed are these NFC cards. It's just like a credit card, and you tap it to pay in crypto. So for all they know, it's just like a gift card, like a Visa gift card you can use at any store that accepts it. Here's the list of stores. Go have fun, grandma. And she doesn't even know she's spending crypto. So we're of the philosophy that if you don't know you're using crypto, then that's a good user experience.
How is grandma going to acquire crypto without having any knowledge of it whatsoever? I mean, I wouldn't want my grandmother to, just go out and buy some Bitcoin. I would want her to be educated enough to know how to store it and use it before she did such a thing.
Yeah, so first, we're not using Bitcoin as the main currency. We use stable coins. So they're on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain right now, SLP tokens. We use USDH and SLP. So grandma doesn't have to worry about the crypto prices.
Didn't USDH die?
No, USDH is still alive.
Oh, okay.
I heard Bitcoin
get
died.
it on side. Yeah, the cryptos are always dying, but they somehow manage to continue being used. So yeah, we use stable coins to prevent volatility, and the private key is secured both on the card and on the phone. So even if she loses the card or the phone, as long as she doesn't lose both, she'll be fine. And we help to educate them on what to do if they want additional backups. We have monthly crypto meetups, and we reach out to both businesses and others who are interested in crypto.
And this has been going for more than a year now. So what are some success stories?
I'd say the success stories are mainly the restaurants and bars that we got on board. So we got on board Safe House Bar, which is the most popular bar on the island. They take crypto, as well as a liquor store.
Safe House Bar?
Yeah, Safe House Bar.
I'm trying to figure out where this is. I spent 2 months
across
here.
From Godfather's.
Oh, okay. All right. We had pizza
It's
at Godfather's.
where the young people go.
Is that what? Okay, I know what we're talking about there. I know what makes them popular.
So you got them to accept Tether, but there's no way to spend Bitcoin Cash or Dash or Litecoin or any other cryptocurrency at these places?
Some of the places, they use POS, which allows for Bitcoin Cash. But yeah, Bitcoin Cash is the only volatile crypto that you can spend on Saipan without conversion.
Interesting. More about Saipan and various crypto-related projects and Liberty migration projects as we're trying to figure out, Mark at least is trying to figure out the freest place to put his feet down. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. 603-283-6160.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
If you're David, a few well-chosen words can help level the playing field with Goliath. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. Recently, I saw a Yellow Pages ad for an appliance repair company, and the headline read, "Why wait for Sears?" If you're going to the Yellow Pages, the Dead Sea Scrolls of advertising, you're ready to buy right now. So this is an attention-grabbing message. And how about the plumber whose radio ad says, "Call by noon Thursday, and we'll be there Saturday at no extra cost"? Smart guy. Most plumbing firms give their crew the weekend off. This one gives them Sunday and Monday off. In the words of a respected advertising executive, cut to the chase, make it quick, and tell me exactly what you can do for me, especially if you're looking for work. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live with Aria, Ian, and Mark here discussing cryptocurrencies and the crypto frontier in the Marianas Islands, which is a project being headed by our guest tonight, Alex, to get cryptocurrency in a usable way in the Marianas Islands. Now, you looked at a number of places, if I remember correctly, Alex, and ultimately decided on the Marianas Islands. And you've since been implementing this system of I don't remember, NFC chips, where people can use dollar tethers like USDH, correct?
Yeah, so basically our thought process is that we've had years and years to try the traditional cryptocurrencies and they haven't worked. And the future of crypto is going to be stable coins. If you look at the top coins,
what do you mean it hasn't worked?
It's working great here.
I bought my cigarettes earlier today with Bitcoin Cash. It was smooth, and I also bought my Indian dinner with Bitcoin Cash.
It's not that the technology doesn't work, it's that it doesn't appeal to the average person. The average person uses PayPal, they use the Cash App, they use Venmo. They are used to interacting with digital dollars. What we want to do is swap it out from a centralized system of digital dollars to a decentralized system. We know that works because there's been a new payment app created every year. There was no Cash App 5-10 years ago. There was no PayPal 15-20 years ago. But they've just sprung up and have gotten tens, if not hundreds of millions of users, depending on the app. There's a pattern that has worked for getting people onboarded to electronic money, and it's the dollar. Businesses want to be paid in the same currency they pay their employees in, the same currency they pay their suppliers in. If you pay them crypto today, it goes down 10%. What do they do Friday come paycheck?
On the other hand, and based on the more likely trend, if you pay them in cryptocurrency today, it'll go up 10%.
Well, isn't it pretty easy to trade the stable coins for, say, Bitcoin Cash or Dash or BTC or whichever?
It depends. I mean, if you use a stable coin that is actually useful on markets, then it's pretty easy. But Honest Coin, as it's called, USDH, I've always been suspect towards that just because of its name. And then recently it went away in any kind of meaningful sense. I believe they used to have it on the Bitcoin.com exchange, but I don't think it's there anymore. Trying to pull it up on CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko shows zero markets appear to be trading in this thing. How does one even acquire these things, Alex?
Yes, SideShift has both USDT and USDH. And you can also get USDH from their official website, honestcoin.io, fill out the KYC, and you can buy it, similar to other exchanges. But just to be clear, we're coin agnostic. We're not suggesting anyone buy Honest Coin or USDT or any other coin. We're just using coins that work. The cost of sending both USDT and USDH on the Bitcoin Cash blockchain is under a cent. To send the coins on Ethereum, the more popular stable coins, you could be paying $10, $15, sometimes even $50 just to buy a $5 cup of coffee.
That's crazy.
Work.
There's no doubt
We're
that's crazy.
Focused on usability. We want real world solutions. We don't want to have to tell. They're in the business of selling coffees, not managing a crypto portfolio. That's our framework. And
well, see, I would suggest
worked.
that you're looking at it from the wrong perspective, and we should be teaching people to manage a cryptocurrency portfolio, holding their own money, actually controlling it, and not being beholden to banks or governments.
I think that that's something that, Alex, I don't think you're wrong that it's a step in the right direction to take people from a centralized dollar using banks and Visa and companies like this and move it to a more decentralized system. I think that is a step in the right direction, and I understand why you're approaching it this way. There is no doubt that when you first approach a business owner about cryptocurrency, there's a learning curve involved in trying to get them on board with something like accepting Bitcoin Cash or Dash or Bitcoin or whatever.
I mean, you've been working with the local Jamaican place for more than a year now.
Sure. Well, it's a long time to prospect somebody to just get them to sit down and talk. But there is definitely a learning curve involved there. But ultimately, if you're keeping them in the dollar, you're keeping them a victim of the dollar, as we all know that the government's going to print more dollars out and the value of that is going down. So you're not really doing them that much of a favor.
Yeah, I'm solving their problem. They do not perceive the dollar to be a problem. Their problem is they want more business and more customers.
Mm-hmm.
They want faster checkout. They want touchless checkout. Those are the problems that they've articulated, and those are the problems we want to solve. You have to go to someone and tell them, you have this problem you don't know you have. This currency, the most used currency in the world, it's wrong. You got to switch for this new currency that's only existed for a decade, and it's extremely volatile. That's not solving a problem.
I would agree
trying to change their philosophy.
That my experience when talking to people outside of the United States versus talking to them inside of the United States is that it's a lot easier to convince somebody who's in the U.S. And I really don't consider Saipan to be, even though it is the U.S. Marianas, it's a U.S. territory, it feels like half American, half Micronesian island. I mean, there's differences. So when you're talking to somebody in the U.S., you can very easily make a tax on the Federal Reserve. They've heard this word. They understand it. Whereas if you're in a foreign country and you're talking about why dollars, or suck, and the people who are doing it, they don't, they're just like, hey, people spend these things here and they're great.
I would agree they may not get it, but it's important for them to know, because Alex, you said, it's not a problem. The USD isn't, but it's very much a problem. You're not trying to
No, it's not
change
their problem.
It is their problem. They just don't know it's their problem. That's the danger the USD represents.
How is it their problem?
Because when the USD collapses or goes under or gets inflated, they lose money.
If they only take dollars or if they only take Bitcoin?
They'll have more problems if they only take dollars.
Really, how much revenue will they have? If every store tomorrow just said, we're only going to sell to people who have Bitcoin, how many customers would they get?
That's not what is on the table here. I mean, and also business owners probably shouldn't be taking Bitcoin, honestly. Bitcoin BTC is just too expensive for the customers to send, and if a business gets a lot of little transactions on Bitcoin and then they go to try to actually send it somewhere, it's going to eat it all up with the crazy fee that comes out of that. But they absolutely should be taking other things like Bitcoin Cash or Dash. And I got to agree with Arya. I think it's important to try to change the paradigm here. And I'm not saying that you're not doing a good thing, Alex. I think it's a step in the right direction. But I mean, we've had, I would say, a tremendous level of success at getting businesses on board with accepting actual cryptocurrencies, and we never had to even tell them about stablecoins here in Keene.
I don't think we have any that accept stablecoins.
There's no way to accept it with AnyPay.
Let me ask you this, Alex. So if somebody, you were talking to a business owner and they said they wanted to accept cryptocurrencies, would you be able to help them with that?
Yeah, we could refer them to the AnyPay app.
Great.
There you go.
Problem solved.
But we've never had that question.
Well, a lot of business owners don't approach us and ask us to help them take Bitcoin. We approach them and we offer it to them as an alternative form of payment.
Some of them are really excited about it, though, and they're paying a lot more attention, I think, in some places.
Some of them are even buying it now instead of just accepting it as payment.
Yep.
This is Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
Free Talk Live.
There's going to be no food by February.
Oh, that seems a little extreme. I find that hard to believe.
Watch it happen. Hope you find Christ.
Oh, good luck, buddy. Thanks.
What really turned me away from religion was the fact that most of them are so intolerant and nasty.
What do you
Your
mean?
life will suck unless you find Jesus. Well, I had Jesus a long time ago, and he didn't really do anything for me, so I got away from that.
Right, and I can tell you that if you want to have that attitude with people, like,
Good
well,
luck
you better find Christ, or you're going to burn in hell.
Yeah.
Then you know.
Good luck converting people.
Yeah, I really want to hang out with people like you, there, Keith. I really want to hang out with people like you. So I'm sorry to those good Christians out there listening that aren't like Keith. But it's the loudmouths like Keith that do real damage to your religion and how people feel about it.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line if you have any questions about some of these Liberty Migration projects or just the crypto frontier in general. Mark, you've been getting your hands into several such projects. With you tonight, of course, it's Aria, Ian, and Mark. And we're on the line with Alex, who founded the Crypto Frontier, which is a project designed to facilitate businesses to accept cryptocurrency, essentially.
In theory.
In theory, yeah. Because I'm with you in this regard that I don't consider tethers to be cryptocurrencies because they're
Why is that?
Well, for one, because they're tokens and they represent a currency.
In this case, stablecoins, for listeners that don't know, is basically a token on a cryptocurrency blockchain that represents some sort of asset. It could be an ounce of gold, it could be silver, but in most cases it tends to be fiat currencies. In this case, it's the dollar. So that's what a stablecoin is.
So rather than taking all the time where we hear to have two different groups decide exactly how, unsuspecting vendors might accept cryptocurrency and argue about their particular stance on it, which doesn't sound like the most interesting parts of what's going on in the U.S. Marianas. Alex, would you be willing to admit that perhaps maybe some people would have done better if some of them were accepting say Bitcoin Cash over there right now with the market skyrocketing? And would you guys be willing to admit that these businesses that are currently accepting these tokens are much easier to onboard than any other business out there? Does that sound like something we can compromise with?
Sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, I would. Like I said, I mean, it's not a bad thing what they're doing. It is a good starting point to actually convince these businesses to take cryptocurrencies, which you sort of one step towards that, and I think that's a good thing.
So the things that I like about Saipan have less to do with the cryptocurrency aspect of it. But
that's the whole point, is crypto frontier.
I know that.
That's the idea, right?
Right, but I mean, can you go somewhere for a reason and discover different things?
Sure, of course.
Okay, the things that I discovered was there's no snow and no ice, and I'd like to hold this out as a positive that New Hampshire half of the year is frozen frickin' solid.
It's really not that bad, Mark.
Well, slipping on the ice and hurting yourself is bad.
Fun. I don't like that.
There are 6 people in my church. 3 of them have fallen and broken a limb in the last decade. Ask a Floridian how many limbs they have broken for slipping on ice, and the answer will be 0.
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, and that's unfortunate, but it's a problem that one can work around. So is that it? You just don't like the snow and ice?
Well,
Florida doesn't
you
have
didn't
those
like
either.
my one reason, so I'll go on with others.
It's not that I dislike it. I just,
as far as
it's a minor issue.
It's a minor issue to you. It is not if you fell and broke your arm. You would then call it a major issue.
Bones heal.
They do heal. Yes. So
it's easier to heal a bone than it is to get freedom back from the state.
There's no sales tax. There's no income tax. Well, the income tax is half. Excuse me. There's half the income tax, and there's no property tax.
And most importantly, in the tax realm, the taxes don't go to the IRS.
Which means
U.S. territories do not pay into the Treasury. They keep it locally. So your taxes will fund no wars, no DEA, or any other tyrannical federal government action.
Right.
Ask an American goes to the island.
Ask an American how many people that their taxes go to kill, and they won't be able to say because the federal government has executions, the state governments have executions. You never know how much of your tax money went to drop them.
We've also abolished the death penalty constitutionally.
Let me interject, Mark. You mentioned there are no property taxes. That's of no use to you because you cannot own property.
Not true.
In the Marianas Islands.
You can, a person who is not an NMD, a Northern Marianas descent, can own a condominium, but they cannot own the land beneath it. So you could, for instance, lease a piece of land for 55 years. Do you expect to live that long?
I hope not.
And then you could put whatever you want on it and live on it.
But you don't own the property. You just own what has been put on the property.
But you don't pay property taxes on it.
You own the property, not the land.
Okay. So if somebody dies, and do they still own their property or not?
Well, they're dead. They don't own anything.
Okay, good. Then you own your property in fact.
Well, you don't own your property in New Hampshire either or anywhere else in the United States because the state will take it from you if you don't pay the property taxes. So, I mean, there's definitely some benefits, it sounds like, to being there in Saipan.
I don't even think they can confiscate property in the U.S. Marianas. Is that so, Alex? Is there any instance that you can think of where they have actually confiscated property? Because, I mean, I see some things that look like derelict.
Only if there's a bank foreclosure and you sign an agreement with the bank.
Mm-hmm.
But the bank can't even own it. They can only temporarily hold it before they sell it off again.
So perhaps you own your property more in the U.S. Marianas than you do in, say, New Hampshire. Also, when you're talking about libertarians, they always want to talk about social freedom, so I think it's important to touch on it. Marijuana, completely legal. Is that right, Alex?
Yes.
Completely legal.
Does that mean you can buy it in stores?
Currently, they're implementing it just like Massachusetts. It took them a couple years, but it's expected by this year, around June, the first stores will begin selling. and you can grow it.
How does one
as well.
obtain marijuana in the U.S. Marianas? Can you get all the things that people get at stores, like gummy bears and I don't know, soda pops? And I've only been in one of these things one time, and it just sold weed.
Yeah, until the official dispensary is open, it's just the black market supply, which has been quite significant for its entire history. According to the UN survey about a decade ago, we had the second highest smoking rates after Jamaica in the world.
So what about people who aren't
smoking
interested in marijuana?
Okay, but I mean, libertarians tend to ask this particular question.
Sure.
It's a social freedom. All right, so gambling. Not only is there a big, beautiful casino, is it operational right now? I know they were having some kind of problems with COVID.
They shut down the casino. There's no tourists, so it's not worth opening.
There are, however, most people go to these roadside casinos where they have like video gambling and these sorts of things. Casinos are everywhere. On Tinian, which is an island.
And the Constitution explicitly says, the covenant with the U.S., that the gambling is within the CNMI's jurisdiction. And there's also an exemption for gambling on cockfighting, bingo,
You
and
can have
raffles.
cockfights
They're
on
explicitly-
CNMI.
Well, you can't legally have cockfights, but you can legally gamble on them. And there are illegal cockfights that happen despite the federal government papers that say that's not allowed.
Interesting.
Cockfighting is a huge thing here. Like most
I'm
of
out
the
immediately.
senators and like big people, they'll have like their own cock farms, and it's pretty interesting.
It's because it's
culturally.
huge down in the Philippines, right? And there's a lot of Filipinos there. Is that a major reason?
Yeah, definitely the Filipino influence has increased the popularity, but I think it might have also been here locally as well. Because I know there's many locals who they've been doing it their whole lives. Like they grew up at their parents' farm, like raising cocks and,
I don't consider
enjoying
animal
the-
cruelty to be a selling point. What else you got, Mark?
Well, I would say that I tend to agree too, but people define cruelty differently, and I get your definition. To me, I have lived on farms and been near roosters when they wake you up at 4 o'clock in the morning with all their caterwauling, and the idea that they're fighting to the death does not bother me. What it sounds like to me is a crispy chicken sandwich. But I certainly wouldn't kick a dog. And if you want to compare those two, cool.
Here's what I want to know about and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are curious about this. What's the situation with the COVID insanity there? I mean, are people walking around?
Okay, let's go. I want to hear that, but I also want to go through the last little bits of the social freedoms that I think are
consider
important.
this to be a social freedom, the freedom
Sure.
to actually not be told what to wear. I want to hear about that coming up.
603-283-6016 is the call on. This is Free Talk Live. We're talking about the Marianas Islands and reasons that Mark is interested in it. Preferably no more animal cruelty, if that's okay.
It's the only one I know of.
603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. With you tonight, it's Arya.
It's Ian.
And Mark.
And Mark is telling us his reasons for loving the Marianas Islands. Now, you didn't go there initially with these reasons that you've since outlined. You went there because it was the crypto frontier. You wanted to see what it was going to do.
That's not exactly right. So Alex Ugorji, who we have on the line here, came in 2019 on Thanksgiving Day and did a show with Ian and I for 3 hours. And we peppered him the whole time, and the kid held up. He's is it Berkeley grad?
No, he was...
You're joking, right?
I don't know. I can never know. Stanford?
Yeah, the big S.
Okay, whatever. It's another one of these liberal colleges as far as I'm concerned. But it's certainly one that proves that you can make it through these systems and you're no fool. He held up under the pressure, and what I got from it was this really is a pretty free place, and I should probably go check it out and make sure that this isn't a bunch of hot air. And so when I showed up, I began sort of testing these things out, and it really is quite a free place. And by free, I mean in a libertarian sense that you can do what you want so long as you don't harm anybody else, and they're not going to really bother you. And they don't. I'd say the worst thing about it is that you cannot own property in the same fee simple way that the natives can. But, and this is very important, you probably should get there now and secure property, because this is going away and likely going away within the next decade.
What is?
This provision that's in their constitution. They have a real problem, and that is that they have allowed for a very long time Filipino contract workers to come and work for them for very little money and to live a better life.
Half the workforce is non-citizens.
Only 19,000 of the 50,000 people
can vote currently. But many of those contract workers were having children, lots of children, as poor people do. And those children were born on U.S. soil. And those children are going to be U.S. citizens that are U.S. citizens and are going to be voting U.S. citizens very soon. And if you're a voting U.S. citizen who cannot own property, would you like to be a U.S. citizen who has the right, should you ever get the money, to own property? And likely the answer to that is yes. So those people are going to vote, and they're going to vote to overturn this law.
And this place has only been a U.S. territory since what, the 80s?
Yes.
It's the only territory in the world that is a U.S. territory that voted itself in, that agreed and signed a contract to become a territory. The rest are spoils of war, and they take the agreement the U.S. government gives them. This place has a contract, and it's a lot better than every place else.
Mark, there were a lot of ifs and dependencies in the conjecture that you just made. What exactly do you expect these Filipino adults to do?
To vote out the provision of the Constitution. So referendums are legal. You can vote things in and out, and they will vote on it. And at some point, the population of non-Native Marianas descent will outweigh the Native Marianas descent.
And they will vote to allow themselves to own land.
Which seems obvious, right? I mean,
why go there now? Why not just wait until that happens?
Well, if you can set up a situation where you will own land when the time, expect the land prices to increase when the buying pool triples, quadruples, quintuples. I mean, this is beachfront property in an island paradise. This is the most stable temperature as awarded.
Like Hawaii 50 years ago.
Yeah, this is the most stable temperature in the world as awarded by the Guinness Book of World Records. It's always pleasant. They don't know what a jacket is. People's shoes are flip-flops. The politicians...
See, that's a selling point for me because I prefer to just wear flip-flops.
Me too.
Politicians don't wear suits. They wear Hawaiian shirts. I mean...
Isn't it true that they throw parties like on the beach just to bribe people to vote for them?
Well, so the barbecue, as they call it, is not barbecue in a southern sense where we're from. It is a cookout is probably the best way to describe it. The cookout, they call it a barbecue, is a cultural phenom there that is extraordinarily important. So everybody wants to hang out and get the burger or the hot dog or whatever. They want to chat. They want to have a good time. And Alex and I ended up at these on a pretty regular basis. Everybody's convivial. They want to share food. They want to share drinks. Were you on Tinian when we showed up and we're just wandering the beach and finding huge pieces of coral and conch shells, and then the fishermen are there like, hey, you guys want some beer? They just wanted people to hang out with them and have some beer. Alex, you were there for that? Yeah,
I can definitely agree that that's the culture there. It's very neighborly and loving and friendly. If you ever go to the beach, people will offer you beer, drinks. They'll talk with you. Is that
still true now since COVID, where, in a lot of places people are colder than they've ever been? You can't see what their faces, look like. You can't tell if they're smiling. What do you see when you're on the streets there over the last year with this COVID crackdown? What's it like?
Yeah. So right now we don't have COVID and we haven't had any community cases for 6 months. So it's a really different universe over in Saipan.
Right. But what do people do? I mean, how do they behave? Are they wearing masks in the streets? Are they wearing masks in stores? What do you see?
Yeah, so if you're outside at the beach, you're in restaurants, you're in those type of places, you won't see many masks, if any. We do have a large Asian population that
and they wore masks
liked to
already.
Wear masks before COVID,
Sure.
And they like to wear masks even more now. The main point where you'll have to wear a mask is if you enter a store. So stores require you to wear masks, and that's the law, I believe, like one of those emergency orders or whatever. Is
Dave following that law?
Yeah, there's quite a few mass protesters. Paul Murphy, Dave, and many others have just refused to wear masks, and they get around.
Now, are they saying they have a medical exemption when store clerks press them?
Yeah, it depends. It's in my experience, the most effective strategy I've seen is I left it in the car. I was in the store with someone who left it in the car, and they just tell them that, and they're like, oh, okay, could bring it next time, please. And so another thing that's positive here is we don't have this, aggressive, confrontational culture that you have in many parts of the U.S., especially cities. People are very conscientious and nice and don't want to make trouble. So if they see you not wearing a mask when you're supposed to be wearing a mask in a store, most people won't say anything. They'll be like, maybe there's some reason, or I don't want to cause any trouble. So we don't have the same Karen population that you might have in the mainland.
What I would say to that is that so this is I think really telling is that the men there are big. All right, they're tall, they're muscular, and they're kind of endomorphic, so they'll hold fat. These are big men, and they talk kind of high, they're just gentle giants of people. And like, for instance, somehow I wandered into a fireman's picnic, and they're like, come on! And they found out that I was a volunteer fireman, and the wine's flowing, and the barbecues being handed out, and it was just a great fun. And my experience has just been entirely positive with everybody that I've met there, because everybody's just fun and they just want to talk. Go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, and everyone on there, they know like the COVID thing's like extreme. Like if you are with the senators or governors or any of the people in private, they won't be wearing their masks. But they just do it to be kind to their neighbors and to be courteous. They'll put on the mask. But for the last 4 or 5 months, I've been seeing a lot of nostrils sticking out of the mask, and no one will say anything to that.
Right, and that's I think really important is that this place is cut off. There's they're doing the checks at the airport, and they haven't had any cases, 0 cases for months.
Have there been? They've also not been having much travel, right? You said tourism is down, and this is a place that lives off of tourism. I mean, there's a ton of money that used to come into this island that must not be coming now. Are you seeing businesses closing?
Oh, it's strange. We're seeing businesses open.
Really?
So I'm not sure if that's unemployed people deciding to take a stab at it themselves, or it's just all the federal money coming in. FEMA is paying for the quarantine at the airport, all-inclusive Ocean View Hotel for 5 days.
5-star jail.
Billed at $400 a night to FEMA. The government's getting hundreds of thousands of dollars every week just from that alone. And
so that's a real incentive for them to continue this, whatever level of rules and regulations they have.
The longer the state of emergency continues, the longer I'm, on.
Alex, what's the website for this again?
CryptoFrontier.org.
CryptoFrontier.org. No hyphens or anything?
Nope.
Perfect. Head on over to CryptoFrontier.org if you want to learn more about this project in the Marianas Islands. It's definitely interesting. The quarantine part kind of makes me not want to visit right now, though.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon. the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at lrn.fm.
A PGA pro hospitalized. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. Golfer Tiger Woods rushed into surgery after crashing his car this morning in Los Angeles.
It crossed the center median and went up the curb on the other side of the road, and it overturned into some shrubs. Captain
James Powers with the LA County Sheriff's Office telling Fox News rescue crews extricated Woods from the vehicle. The extent of Woods' injuries aren't yet known. The 45-year-old hosted a golf tournament over the weekend, but didn't play. He underwent his 5th back surgery in December. COVID-19 vaccine makers telling Congress today they'll be able to provide enough doses for most Americans by summer. They said shipments of the vaccine will increase over the coming month. Lawmakers on Capitol Hill are reviewing security decisions linked to last month's deadly violence at the U.S. Capitol.
Former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sun told Senate lawmakers the attackers came prepared for war.
They came with their own radio system to coordinate the attack and climbing gear and other equipment to defeat the Capitol's security features. I am sickened by what I witnessed that day.
There are conflicting accounts about why there was a delay in National Guard assistance. Sun claims he called for help at 1:09 p.m. But former House Sergeant at Arms Paul Irving said he didn't get an official request until after 2 p.m. More hearings are expected as lawmakers investigate security failures before and during the riot.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland in Washington. The Department of Justice announcing today it's revived its investigation into the death of George Floyd during an arrest last year in Minneapolis. The New York Times is reporting the Justice Department is impaneling a new grand jury and calling new witnesses as part of its probe of former police officer Derek Chauvin. Floyd's death sparked nationwide protest. Chauvin's criminal trial is about to begin in Minneapolis. America is listening to Fox News.
Why are you still going to the post office? Do it all online with Stamps.com. Avoid trips to the post office, print postage, send invoices, letters, or packages, and schedule pickups right from your home or office. 24/7. Get close to 10% off first-class stamps, up to 40% off priority mail, and up to 62% off UPS shipping rates. Go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone, and enter code FOX for a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. Stamps.com, code FOX.
President Biden and First Lady Jill Biden are set to head to Houston on Friday to discuss ongoing recovery efforts from the severe winter storm that cut power and water to millions in Texas.
The president will meet with local leaders to discuss the winter storm, relief efforts, progress toward recovery, and the incredible resilience shown by the people of Houston and Texas.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki. FEMA has been providing support for local and state officials, providing meals, water, blankets, and other supplies needed in those recovery efforts. The Senate today confirming President Biden's choice to lead U.S. diplomacy at the United Nations. Linda Thomas Greenfield was confirmed as the UN ambassador by a 78-20 vote. The 35-year-old Foreign Service veteran pledged to re-engage the U.S. on the international stage, moving away from the Trump administration's America First policy. An investigation is underway after a Michigan woman dies after a transplant in which she received lungs infected with coronavirus.
A woman contracted coronavirus and died 2 months after receiving a double lung transplant at the University of Michigan Medical School in Ann Arbor. Doctors there say from a donor who was later found to have the virus. The case, believed to be the first documented instance of the virus being transmitted through donated organs. Doctors say both the donor and recipient initially tested negative, meaning the surgeon wasn't required to wear masks or face coverings. Though we're told 4 days after the procedure, the surgeon also tested positive for coronavirus.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations.
We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
The American robin heralds the beginning of spring in temperate climates across North America. Its red breast makes it easily identifiable as the most disturbingly efficient murderer in the animal kingdom. Robins inculcate their young with these twisted maws. We see an adult robin feeding its young with the ripped-apart viscerae of an innocent worm. Like the Greek hero Atreus eating the flesh of his children at his own table, this black deed must surely curse the entire species. Even the most depraved acts of humanity pale in comparison to the robin's wickedness. Like idiot rapists, they commit their foul deeds with neither foresight nor hindsight. They live entirely in the present. Living beyond space and time, their god is the awful seething maelstrom of chaos at the center of the unfeeling universe.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves, talk about anything you want. 603-283-6160 is the number to do that. 603-283-6160. With you tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And Mark.
And Woca-Cola is making news. Apparently, it's trending on Twitter, and even the woke crowd seems to be sort of upset by this. According to the New York Post, they're being slammed for, quote, diversity training that urged workers to be less white. Coca-Cola employees...
What the hell does that mean?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I've got a slideshow that suggests what that means. It was a confronting racism course offered by LinkedIn Education and allegedly utilized by Coca-Cola. In the U.S. and other Western nations, white people are socialized to feel that they are inherently superior because they are white, reads one of the slides, allegedly sent from an internal whistleblower and posted on Twitter. Another slide suggests to try to be less white, with tips including be less oppressive, listen, believe, and, quote, break with white solidarity.
Okay. Well, at least we're not asking people to talk with affected accents or something like that.
That's true. On Monday, LinkedIn said it had pulled the controversial course featuring interviews with sociologist Robin DiAngelo, the author of White Fragility. The Confronting Racism course featuring Robin DiAngelo is no longer available in our course library. At the request of the third-party content provider, they licensed the content from, said LinkedIn, and it was ultimately because the professor that they included didn't actually support the idea. But here's a screenshot of the slideshow here. To be less white is to be less oppressive.
Wow.
Be less arrogant. Be less certain. Be less defensive.
So the certainty thing really bothers me as just sort of a genetic know-it-all. I operate in a world of certainty. I'm certain when I'm uncertain. I'm certain when I'm wrong.
You're also arrogant.
That I am. So and arrogance is not by any means something that is somehow relegated to just white folks.
No, it's a ridiculous claim.
And you're only arrogant in some regards. I mean,
Sure.
when we were talking about the computer system earlier, you would be as condescending as possible because you know your limitations.
Yeah,
and your
I'm not very
abilities.
good at that particular thing. But, as far as one of the things that bothers me is that I've read in some of the anti-feminist prattling out there, the feminist prattling out there is that logic is somehow considered an anti-woman, a racist kind of thing, right? And that really bothers me. The idea that good thinking, the kind of thinking that came to us from the Greeks, is somehow racist, and that logical fallacies are somehow supporting those who are outside of the whatever the power structure, some rambling nonsense. This, of course, leaves out I've also heard it claimed that being white is like playing life on God mode. I mean, come on, how many people are poor and white out there?
Just go to any trailer park and tell me those people are playing anything on God mode.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But moving forward in this article, also, quote, listen, believe, break with apathy, and break with white solidarity. D'Angelo insists that she was unaware that she was being featured in the course because she didn't create them. She was unaware that the videos had been re-edited in that way or that they were being marketed as a course training on anti-racism, since the way the content was put together did not accurately represent the way she would facilitate that type of work. Coca-Cola denied that the training was mandatory for employees, Newsweek reported, but
I don't think Coca-Cola bears any responsibility here. Other than sort of hiring LinkedIn, which is a widely respected business, company that's sort of B2B company, and saying, all right, we're going to take care of this stupid training that we have to all go through. Here you go. I mean, Coca-Cola, what? I mean, this is Woca-Cola is a funny joke, but this is a LinkedIn problem.
I think it's a Coca-Cola problem. Don't you think they have some responsibility to vet the material that they're making mandatory for their workers?
Absolutely.
I think that in a world where everybody's gone insane about race and gender and height and good looks and every other thing out there, by the way, I'll say it again. The only privileges are wealth, attractiveness, and intelligence. If you got those things, it doesn't matter what color you are, and it doesn't matter what gender you are, you're going to be successful. If you don't have any of those things, it doesn't matter what color or gender you are, you're going to be unsuccessful because those are the actual privileges.
Okay, but my question is about Coca-Cola's responsibility for making this mandatory.
Coca-Cola probably should have, culled through this a little more, but I'm not surprised in this world where everybody's like, hey, you person who's going to be deciding whether or not we implement this program are completely unqualified to implement this program because you're a racist, sexist, white, homophobic a-hole, right? Like, I could, at this point, as a heterosexual, white, cisgendered male, I could not make the choice for a large company as to whether or not they should have a course, because I would say, this is absolute poppycock, and you're obviously an insane person for suggesting it, right? I mean, like, that's where it all be coming from.
Not the idea of an anti-racism course. You don't find that to be nonsense, do you?
I tend to think that most of the things, the vast majority of things that we call racist in this world at this point are not. I don't like racism, but I know what racism is, and I could even define it. However, I just had to deal with somebody on Facebook recently who was calling something misogynistic, and they're like, well, I don't mean the old definition of misogyny, I mean the new definition of misogyny. I'm like, what the hell is that? Crap you don't like? Things that are said, some of the hoi polloi were talking about how some superheroes in the Marvel series are attractive. Women are attractive, right? It was just all that. And somehow that's misogynistic.
They were all attractive.
That's why they got jobs as, wait for it, movie stars.
So the fact that they found the women attractive was misogyny?
So it got taken off by the scared admin before I could really get to the point that this guy was trying to make. But his first point was he wasn't using the old definition of misogyny, which is hating women. And that's what it means.
Where are you having these conversations?
Facebook.
Why?
Where? I thought it was odd that the guy said it, so I wanted to ask him some questions.
But where is this? In like a Marvel fan group?
It was
something?
a Marvel fan group. Yep.
Okay.
There was actually a picture of all of the female characters.
Did you tell him he was homophobic for not finding the men attractive?
I didn't. I never got a chance to respond to his response. It had all the women standing, and then the guy who plays Peter Parker, Tom something.
I don't know their names.
It's Tom something, Holland maybe, sitting on a couch in front of them, which is a meme, a reference to a meme from the internet where a pornographic meme from the
casting
internet.
Couch.
Maybe casting couch or something like that. The suggestion sounded like they were going to sodomize him with Stark Tech.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I thought was amusing. Ha ha.
and they decided that this was... Now, what is their new misogyny? Because you defined old misogyny as hating women.
New misogyny is stuff I don't like. Things that I don't like people saying about women.
Did they ever get around to defining that?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
Really, I mean, basically it was like, you aren't commenting on their attractiveness. He commented on some things that have happened in the past in the group, which of course I didn't see, which has nothing to do with calling something that is sitting right in front of me misogynistic. If anything, these women were empowered in this particular situation. None of them were scantily clad. I mean, all of the Marvel women get to wear pants. Not in the comic books, but in the movies they do. So, I don't get it.
I don't either. And I didn't watch the movies well enough to remember exactly how they dressed at all times, but I seem to recall Black Widow wore some, at least some pretty tight outfits.
Scarlett Johansson, in my opinion, is probably the most attractive woman in the Marvel series. But
Well, none of them were unattractive, but it's certainly not misogynistic for people to find other people attractive.
Black Widow is actually a Russian double agent in the comics, so her attractiveness is part of the character. She has sort of not a superpower, but she has the means and the ability and the desire to attract powerful men and to use their power against them. So yes, I mean, she's supposed to be attractive.
So Coca-Cola denied that this was mandatory for employees, but multiple workers said that it was in fact required. But it's been removed now. But Woca-Cola, it is a funny joke. 603-283-6160. There's more about this woke culture and the problems it represents for actually interacting with other human beings.
Did you have a Woca-Cola this morning?
I don't drink soft drinks.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? you can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. You can call in, talk about anything that you want. 603-283-6160. With you tonight is Arya, Ian, and Mark. And Bitcoin is on sale, so if you still don't know anything about it, head on over to bitcoin.com. They have there everything you need to know about cryptocurrency, neatly organized by your needs. And there's really no longer an excuse or a reason to ignore this important world-changing information. Bitcoin, for those who aren't aware, recently came close to about $60,000. I don't remember exactly what it peaked at.
58 something.
But it's since fallen down to about 48,000 right now.
I think it scraped 45.
Yeah, it got pretty low.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Pretty
that's
low.
Bitcoin. Yeah, it's on its way back up already for those people. I saw news articles today about how Elon Musk lost billions of dollars.
He's no longer the richest man in the world right now.
Because of his Bitcoin
Are you sure about
purchase.
that? I'm pretty sure he is still.
That's what the headline said. I'm not sure about
Well,
anything.
Tesla bought the Bitcoin. I don't think it came out of his personal.
That's a good point.
But how much Tesla stock does he have? And then you can figure it in from there.
Well,
I don't care that much.
Wasn't he the richest man in the world before Tesla bought the Bitcoin?
No, Jeff Bezos was.
Okay. Well, either way, last week we were seeing articles say, oh, he's already made X billions of dollars on this Bitcoin. And today the articles are saying, oh, he's already lost this amount of money on
But
that
here's
Bitcoin.
the thing, and I'm glad you brought that up because I thought about putting that in show prep for tonight. I was just like, it's not really worth. Anyway, the point I wanted to make about it was that he hasn't lost anything because he hasn't sold yet. And all these media people are like, we lost billions of $30 billion overnight. Well, no, he hasn't. He doesn't have dollars. He's got Bitcoin. And he still has the same amount of Bitcoin today that he had yesterday, unless he sold, out of desperation or fear or whatever.
Which he probably didn't.
I don't think he did at all. I suspect he knows enough to hold on for the ride. So he hasn't lost anything. You don't gain or lose until you sell.
Excellent point. But if you are a knowledgeable crypto user, you can find news articles there, news.bitcoin.com, for all the latest headlines of all the news that's relevant to you, because bitcoin.com is your source for everything cryptocurrency, like getting a wallet, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website, bitcoin.com. So, Mark, you have a related story. I don't know how related it is. It's about people being crazy, though. So I guess that makes it related.
Well, I've got a couple of stories today that seemed sort of very strange. There was a situation where a woman at Smith College, and Smith College, for those that don't know, has got to be one of the most woke places in America. This is a all-girls college in Northampton, Massachusetts, and the staff member, she's a staff member there, and basically they had some trouble. I think it was in 2018 that somebody called one of the staff members or faculty or whatever racist. That there was an investigation on that accusation, and nothing was found that was not found to be true. Now, I don't know. Maybe they are racist. I have no idea. But what we can see is that on college campuses over the course of the last 5 years or so, young people appear to be far more interested in social activism than they are in, say, being all they can be academically. And
I'm sure that's true for some segment of the college crowd.
Yeah. Well, the ones that's getting press. How's that? I mean, when Yale...
Well, yeah, because oh, this is a straight A student with a 4.0 GPA going on to get their doctorate right? Is not newsworthy.
Agreed. At Smith College has never been known for its academics, or not recently been known for its academics. It has been known for its social activism.
Okay.
I mean, Smith College is if you were a young woman and social activism, gender activism is really your thing, then...
So it's always been about, creating the sort of ultra-progressive woke crowd culture?
Yes.
And teaching them how to be activists?
At least it's been that way for a very long time. Perhaps not when the oldest of our listeners were in college, were the Seven Sisters, colleges like this, some of which don't even exist any longer. A friend of mine in Quaker Meeting who's got to be in her 70s is a Wellesley girl, as she refers to herself. At 70, she doesn't qualify as a girl, but that's how she identifies.
Sure. So the staff at this school was accused of what?
So a faculty member was accused of racism by a student.
Okay.
Just racism. Not like they hit me with a whip or anything like that, just racism. And then the college investigated, and of course there's all this hoopla because who do you, as a conservative, who would you want to accuse more of racism more than anyone? The liberals. So the conservatives are going after them, the students are going after them. These are stodgy old neoliberals that they're bullcrap, and these white women have always been getting it better than us women of color, and it just keeps going on and on. The rambling is out there. So this...
I haven't followed this at all, and your synopsis of it is not overly clear. Now,
okay.
Who are the colored women who entered into this?
Women of color. So this is Smith College, and it is a all-women school.
Right.
What they have been attempting to do over the course of the last several decades is to increase their palette of shades of brown and tan, steadily.
Among their staff or among their students?
So there's three categories of people here, and it's important. Students, faculty, and staff. They're working on increasing the color palette in the students and the faculty.
By faculty, you mean the teachers and the administrative staff? And
Right.
Okay.
And the staff, however, is drawn from the locals in, Massachusetts, which is going to be a largely white place.
Like groundskeepers, janitors, that sort of thing?
Yeah, people are watching over the houses and that sort of thing. So this lady is some kind of staff, and she seems to watch over she's like a house marm or something like that, and watches over the students, make sure they don't do anything bad. Well, so the staff, who are, the lowest level workers there, are all white. And the students, who are pretty privileged if you're going to one of the best schools in the country, and the staff and the faculty, which is well paid.
Is it one of the best schools in the country? Because you just said it's not known for its academics.
You can get hired. If you're hiring somebody from Smith, then you're hiring wokeism. You've got it's like 3 credits of woke instead of just 1.
Gotcha.
And
so it looks good on a resume, but it's not really one of the best schools.
What are any of the best schools the best schools?
I don't know. I think college is a waste of time.
Harvard won't tell your grade point average. They'll just tell whether you graduated or not. All right? So if you get a D at Harvard, if you graduate with the lowest score possible in your class in Harvard, you're still a Harvard man, even if you're not a Harvard man. What are you getting with a Harvard student? I don't know anymore. I think that all of these schools are infected with a disease of the mind. And it's not that I want a world where women and people of color are treated badly. I want a world where everybody's treated fairly without any recognition for their gender or their race or anything like that at all. But when somebody brings up an accusation, then, it's immediately looked at as though you're the next Hitler.
I would tend to agree with you. I would prefer race and gender and all of these other things to just not be included when we're judging people.
I wish they didn't exist.
Judge them based on their behavior, their attitudes, their demeanor, whatever.
When I went through the Smithsonian, they told me that race was a social construct. I like that, and I can make an argument for it.
Would you care to?
Yeah, I will.
603-283-6160. Mark is about to argue that race doesn't exist. 603-283-6160. If you want to call in and talk about it, this is Free Talk Live.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with AgristHosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to AgristHosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's AgristHosting.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. chat.lrn.fm. Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. 603-283-6160 is the call-in number. If you want to talk about something, you can. Whatever's on your mind, 603-283-6160. With you tonight, it's Arya, Ian, and Mark. And we are, of course, here in Keene, New Hampshire, Crypto Mecca. And it's made possible almost entirely because of AnyPay. And AnyPay 2.0 is here, which means crypto payments are now faster than ever if you're using the Edge wallet, handcashbitcoin.com, or Dash wallets. If you are, then your experience will be smooth and lightning fast, but some wallets aren't ready for the impressive new technology. And the wallet programmers need to hear from you, the wallet users. Visit anypayinc.com/upgrade to learn why some popular wallets are incompatible, and reach out to the wallet programmers, encouraging them to make payments perfect at anypayinc.com/upgrade. It is a lightning fast payment system, and it does allow you to actually use cryptocurrency at the point of sale in a lot of cases. And some of these places have actually integrated it directly into their point of sale system, like Corner News here. It's
pretty sweet.
I prefer the tablet, though, because the QR code on that little card reader is so tiny, and the room you have to work is so small. It's like,
most people won't have to ever do that, though.
That's
they can
true.
just use AnyPay, and it works great.
It does. It works flawlessly. So, Mark, you've been regaling us about this story about this all-girls college.
Smith College.
Where the staff is almost entirely white, if not entirely white. And by staff, we mean the grounds workers, the lowest
Everybody is
level.
not faculty, like not a teacher, an educator.
Yeah, but if you were to have asked me 30 minutes ago what the difference between faculty and staff is, I would have said they're synonyms, Mark.
Right.
And I imagine most of our listeners, as we're making these distinctions,
I imagine that this is a distinction for Smith College and perhaps colleges all around America. I don't know. I haven't spent time on some elite college campus in America. It's just not my shtick. I got my degree from the School of Hard Knocks. So I don't know.
It's a more useful degree, I would argue.
Well, but it has served me reasonably well. And what her complaint here is this this woman who is today, I believe, resigned. Her name is Jody Shaw. And she is a staff member. She is not faculty. She's staff. And basically her claim is that the college is so woke that they're the opposite of woke now. Like they've crossed the line and gone the other direction. That reverse racism has kicked in. And I have
that's been the case for a long time. I mean, earlier you basically quoted Martin Luther King Jr., who said that, he dreamed of a day when a person was judged by the content of their character, but you're considered racist now if you say that.
Well, I don't think you're considered racist for it, because they won't say that actual quotes from Martin Luther King Jr. are racist. But if you live like that, then you're racist. If you live like the content of one's character is the most important thing about them and not the color of their skin, you are clearly a racist. Now saying it, it's like, oh, well, you did say content of your character, which gives you a pass because you're allowed to say content of character. You're not allowed to say actions and behavior. Actions have consequences, and behavior is going to result in negative behavior is going to result in negative consequences or anything like that, because that's bad. Outcomes must be equal. But you had asked me whether, to defend the notion that race is a social construct. And I have come to this conclusion.
For the record, I agree with you. I just wouldn't care to make the argument.
Okay, so I'm going to make the argument. First off, the people that obsess about race in what I would consider the most negative of fashions believe that there are 3 or perhaps 5, different races. So
I would assume those are Hispanic, white, Asian.
Hispanic's a mix, so they would be considered Asian by these people's standards. But you could include the fifth one. The 2 fifth ones would be Aboriginals and American Indians, kind of thing.
Okay.
The big 3 are white, black, and Asian, or Mongoloid, as they used to call them in the past. It's a pretty nasty little word. And Negro's definitely gone out of style, so you're not allowed to use that term. Or I guess it's all context dependent, right? You'd be allowed to mention the United Negro College Fund, but you wouldn't be allowed to use the term Negro. Anyway, so white people are, for instance, a little factoid I like to spit out. White people from Eastern Europe are less genetically diverse from people from Eastern Africa than people from Western Africa.
Okay, what now?
So you got a person from Eastern Africa.
Uh-huh.
They are more genetically similar to people from Eastern Europe than they are from people from Western Africa. And that's because Africa is a hard place to travel, especially prior to roads.
Okay.
And
makes sense. I mean, there's a giant desert between West Africa and East Africa.
And thick jungle, and it's just not the kind of place, it's always been heavily populated, whereas, but whatever, that's just the case. So, therefore, you can't really make the claim that there's a race called black because we're all from Africa. Some of us left and long ago, and then the skin colors changed for a variety of reasons. You'll notice that many Asians have similar colored skin to many white people, and that's probably because living in colder climes, having lighter skin has some advantage from an genetic standpoint, or that some genetic advantage goes along with white skin, and maybe it's just an afterthought.
You mean an environmental advantage,
right? So you might be able to claim that Asian is a race, and you might be able to claim that white is a race, but you cannot claim that black is a race because it is so many different races. It is in fact the race, human race. So all of this argument...
Well, that would be equally true of any white races. I mean, the people in Europe are drastically different from the people in Ukraine.
They
might be more genetically similar.
Okay.
But at what point along these genetic similarities are we saying, okay, at this point, at 99.996%,
then you're part of the same race or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's an arbitrary delineation point.
Scientists have not been able to find something called race. They can't figure it out. Now, our lying eyes say, there's a black guy, there's an Asian guy, there's a white guy, right? Like, we know what race looks like, but there's no definition of it from a scientific standpoint, because you can't determine what makes a race a race. If I am closer genetically to a man from Ethiopia than I am, than that man is to a man in Ghana, then am I the same race as the Ethiopian? Obviously, our lying eyes would say no.
I mean, we all know this to be true because if we took like 1,000 different people, ranging from extremely pale to very, very dark, and we just asked you, say, okay, pick a point at which this group is white and this group is black, it's an impossible task.
Yeah, find the point for me. And it gets very, very difficult. So that's why I fall back to race as a social construct. But understand that there are people right now who are making a living, including this Woca-Cola, this company that's giving racial training to Coca-Cola. Those people are actually making money about telling people, don't be quite so white. And so there's a lot of money surrounding this whole who's white, who's oppressing whom thing.
Do you agree that gender is a social construct?
No. In most cases,
the genetics of race are real, even if the race is not. The sex,
right? So black people have black children, white people have white children.
Gender is not.
So
if one is a social construct, they both have to be.
If you want to distinguish between somebody who is of a certain sex and a certain gender, right? Like, so if you want to distinguish between those two words, I grew up in a world.
I think they have to be separated.
Fine, but do you understand? I grew up in a world where they were the synonyms.
Yes.
Okay.
Incorrectly, but that was how they came to be viewed over time.
So it was always that gender suggested how you felt about yourself on the inside, and always that sex suggested...
No, gender initially was basically just a synonym for category, but over time it became associated with sex.
I think that
just sort of
it seems like people who are desperate to make this a thing made one word mean one thing and one word mean another, which is fine if that's the world we live in. So long as I got the rules and the definitions, I can live there. But I'll go head to head with you on this one, sure.
Well, they sort of just took it closer to its original meaning than they did change the meaning of it. What do you think? 603-283-6160. Maybe you disagree with Mark. Maybe you think race is real. Give us a call. Let us know.
Tomorrow's my big day. I'm going to go in for surgery, and hopefully you'll come along. Now, I do have to admit that I am in a bit of pain, so I'm really looking forward to this procedure. I think we're both going to find out that having surgery just isn't as scary as it sounds.
We're covering our own Jim Haggerty's kidney stone removal surgery, and his surgery is now just minutes away. So, Dr. Atka, tell us what precautions we would take to prevent us from getting kidney stones.
Always stay hydrated. Water helps the kidneys break the stuff down.
Hear that, Jim? More water.
What?
More water. Maybe we should replace your coffee.
Please go away. Please. Ow, no.
That's a camera they're going to use to film the whole surgery from inside Jim's body,
Yes, that's going to
right?
be pushed into Jim's urethra as well. Now, normally they wouldn't do this. This is purely for the benefit of us watching it on TV.
All right, stick with us because first he's going to pop into the children's ward to cheer up some youngsters suffering from terminal illnesses.
This is the Onion News Network.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
The Shire Free Church offers a sanctuary to those seeking an escape from state churches.
The Shire Free Church is an interfaith, diverse group of people that may not share identical theological beliefs. As a member in or minister of the Shire Free Church, you are a sovereign individual and may be the faith of your choice.
We don't claim to have all of the answers.
We are open to all peaceful people.
We want to learn from each other.
What unifies the Shire Free Church and its diverse members is peace,
love, and liberty. There are many paths to God, one for every individual.
The Shire Free Church does not define a specific path beyond those parameters that must be your foundation.
Peace as your way,
love as your guide,
and liberty as your light.
Learn more at church.shiresociety.com.
That's church.shiresociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. Take control of the airwaves. Talk about anything you want. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian. And Mark.
And we've been discussing this problem on the left that is just becoming a bigger and bigger issue where just about everything is considered racist or misogynistic or, in a lot of these cases, simply existing as a white cis person or white male or even a white trans person, you must be racist because they've equated being white to being racist, which obviously is racist.
It's clearly racist. Judging somebody by the color of their skin is like the definition of racism.
But see, they've changed the definition to incorporate this power dynamic that, you have to have this prestige and wealth and power in order to be racist.
Well, is it so then
you can't be racist if you're the majority.
So a poor
or minority
white man can be racist with no problem?
No, because
I know a lot of them.
No, because he's still part of the majority.
Well, he's not. I mean, there is no majority, right? There is no, in the world or America or anything, there is no majority anything. White men are not the majority. Admittedly, historically, they had more power than they do today, and we can look at history and say that when people are, when their power diminishes, they tend to caterwaul about it. And this is the thing I try to keep an eye on as I talk about these things. I certainly don't want to be one of those things, but I will point out, while everybody's pointing out how they get to be not, privileged, I spent 8.5 years in prison for a crime I didn't commit. I am not exonerated. It is actually legal for the United States government and governments around the world to discriminate against me, and they do regularly. Canada will not let me in. Japan will not let me in. They turn me around on a flight. The United States government will not let me own a gun. So it would be better for me to be a young white woman without a felony record than it would be for me to be an old white guy with one.
Well, sure, but you're factoring in individual circumstances and individuals' life.
But I know what it's like to be discriminated against.
Sure.
More than any, I can talk about more instances of discrimination than the vast majority of people out there that are complaining about discrimination.
I'm not going to touch that one, but I will point out that you're right, and every individual's experiences are going to be different. You have plenty of trans people who have never faced any discrimination. Well,
Sure.
I don't know about plenty, but they certainly exist. And in fact, being trans in a lot of these communities, like if you're a trans person in California, you're basically in a place of privilege.
San Francisco
Yeah.
or something.
You're privileged there. You're
I
not
don't-
discriminated against.
I don't know what that's like. I wouldn't say, but I can say this as far as being trans. Although it may be uncomfortable not to wear women's panties for you, you want to do that. You can choose any day you want to be a man, should you wish, right? Like you can dress that way. I could dress
I
like
put on a pair of pants.
You could. In the same way that I could wear a dress, you can wear a pants.
Plenty of women wear pants.
Okay, fine. I'm just saying, what I'm saying is that you could pass for a man any day you wish if that somehow.
I don't think that's true.
Okay, I think that I think that there are plenty of people who can decide not to be trans that day if that's what they wish to do, and they can pass if they need to pass. I cannot pass as a not convicted felon. Anytime any employer or government agency wishes to look me up, I'm a convicted felon every single day I don't want to be. You are a trans person every day you want to be, and not a trans person every day you don't want to be. I think there's a distinction to be had there.
I want to discuss that a little bit further, but
there are some that are probably, like so far gone or whatever. But I mean, like I could pretend to be a woman. You can pretend to be a man, right?
Not yet. Hold off on that. Let's go to the phones. We've got Dave calling from New Hampshire. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live.
In our rush to exchange away our innocent dreams of raceless ways for us and them and we and they, what would we tell MLK?
I don't know. What would we tell him?
We tell him we're sorry. We screwed up.
Well, if MLK is the arbiter of what is racism and not racism, and I don't know why exactly he got to be the one that is that.
I would say
what
he
happened to
was,
Booker T. Washington,
I would say he was probably the most well-known proponent of egalitarianism.
I like, guys like W.E.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington. I felt like they had some very firm grasps on what discrimination was and
Did
what
they get assassinated?
They did not.
That's probably why.
But they lived in a world of discrimination.
Dave?
I actually called to talk about something else.
Yeah, what's on your mind?
So the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire has announced that Justin Amash, the former state representative, the former congressman, will be their guest.
Is he no longer a congressman? Did he resign or lose an election?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
He is. He's going to be at the LPNH convention again. I think he's just going to be joining virtually, but I think it's kind of fun because I just started naming myself after him in computer games. Like when I create a character in a computer game, like an online computer game, I'm Justin Amash.
Why would the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire invite a Republican?
Great question. I think he changed his.
I think he's Libertarian Party now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he changed his party affiliation.
Not that really
What
matters,
happens when you
but-
name yourself Justin Amash in a game? Do people come to you and say things, or what?
They don't seem to know who I am, but
Okay.
the idea is that it's just, you're there anyway. Why not give free publicity to the most prominent liberty candidate in your country, which it seems to be him, maybe next to Ron Paul. I mean, he's not a candidate anymore. So
Macy's probably worth a mention.
Didn't he bail on running for president as a libertarian in 2020? Like, he made a big to-do about announcing it, and then 3 weeks later, he said, no, never mind.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, he did.
I don't recall, but you're correct. He was a member of Congress, and he was actually the first member of the Libertarian Party to serve in Congress. However, he was elected as a Republican who then changed his registration to Libertarian, and then he immediately lost his reelection.
Did he actually run for reelection?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I don't follow him that
sort
closely
of
because... Go ahead.
Seems to be on sort of the same track that Ron Paul, was on in the 80s. So it's conceivable that 10 or 20 years he could be a very powerful candidate, but we'll see.
According to Wikipedia, in May of 2020, he announced he would not run due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And he also then would not run for president as a libertarian. And then in July, he implied he would not seek re-election to the House, saying that he would, quote, miss his representing his constituency in Congress. So he changed to a libertarian basically in the last year of his congressional term. And
clearly with the intent of running for president as the Libertarian candidate.
But he changed his mind about that real fast for some reason.
And he knew he would lose re-election if he ran as a Libertarian.
Almost a guarantee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. I mean, obviously we're not going to get Libertarians in the House by not getting Libertarians in the House. So we have to do that in whatever way it happens. He was my favorite, and I miss him.
The Libertarians in New Hampshire, I don't know what the party's official stance is, but I've seen a number of the people who are involved in the party advocating for masking, and I find that to be very off-putting. So I'm surprised they're even having a convention. Are they actually going to physically gather in a place?
Maybe they have a Zoom meeting.
That's what I'm wondering. Do you know, Dave?
Yeah, I don't know. But it's nice to see Amash, active, and it's good to see him active in relation to New Hampshire, because in the past, the big mistake, the big wrong turn that I think happened in the Ron Paul movement was that Ron Paul never moved to New Hampshire like he indicated he might do. And he was talking about, and I heard him say it in person, that he was thinking about running for governor in New Hampshire. And
well, he can't do that.
Who is he?
You talking about Justin Amash?
No, Ron Paul was thinking about running for governor in New Hampshire,
can't do
moving
that.
here, joining us, and running for governor. That
takes
just
7 years.
nothing ever came of that. If he had done that, it would have had an electrical effect on the.
Yeah, he would have had to have done it 10 years ago because
it takes 7 years to be qualified to run for governor.
Correct.
That's the same for Senate too, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So to be a state senator.
This is a speech. This is a speech he made in 2007 where he said that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of great people who could move here, and sadly they haven't. So unfortunately, until we can get more people to migrate here, we have to keep having strangers, like Justin Amash at conventions. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if they actually could have somebody from the libertarian movement in New Hampshire speak at the Libertarian Convention and actually attract people to it?
That would be awesome.
Maybe they saw how the Libertarians treat each other in New Hampshire, and they decided, I don't want any of that.
Oh, they treat each other like that everywhere.
But there's not very many of them.
I find the Libertarians in New Hampshire to be really friendly. I mean, there's a lot of division between the Libertarians in this place and the
That's what he's
Libertarians
talking
in this
about.
place.
That's what I'm
Libertarians
talking about.
constantly fighting with one another.
Well, we have several Telegram groups dedicated to it, so it's not surprising. This is Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive, and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by TJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Bane Books at banebooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Tiger Woods hospitalized. I'm Rich Dennison, Fox News. Pro golfer Tiger Woods injured in a single-vehicle rollover crash this morning in Los Angeles. Officials say Woods suffered serious leg injuries and underwent surgery. Former President Trump telling Fox News,
"It's pretty bad on the legs, I understand, and he'll figure a way. But he's a wonderful person."
Fire officials in L.A. County said Woods had to be extricated from his SUV. His current condition isn't known. Members of Congress are holding hearings on the deadly violence at the U.S. Capitol last month.
Former and current law enforcement officials told lawmakers they believe the January 6th riot was a coordinated attack. But there are conflicting accounts about a delay in bringing in the National Guard. Former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund says he called for help at 1:09 p.m. Former House Sergeant-at-Arms Paul Irving testified.
From my recollection, I did not receive a request for approval for National Guard until shortly after 2 p.m.
Republican Senator Rob Portman says he wants phone records from January 6th.
Fox's Rachel Sutherland in Washington. President Biden today expressing optimism that by the fall, the country will begin seeing more normalcy return as the fight against the coronavirus infections continue.
It's going to be different than last fall. I think you're going to see that we're going to be going into the Christmas season better than we were. Whether it's back to complete normal, I don't know. But we're going to beat this.
Vaccine makers were on Capitol Hill today telling lawmakers more doses will be shipped in the coming month and that most Americans should be able to get vaccinated by the summer. The Senate today voting to confirm Tom Vilsack as President Biden's Secretary of Agriculture.
The yeas are 92, the nays are 7, and the nominee is confirmed.
The former Iowa governor held the same cabinet post the entire 8 years of the Obama administration. America is listening to Fox News.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but here you go. You deserve to feel better than you do today. And you can with Headspace. They make meditation simple. Headspace is the one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research and can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Go to headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial. This is the best deal offered right now. Headspace.com/Fox.
President Biden's pick to represent the U.S. at the United Nations has been confirmed by the Senate.
Veteran diplomat Linda Thomas Greenfield won bipartisan Senate support confirmed to be the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations on a 78-20 vote. Thomas Greenfield was the Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs during the Obama administration and served as U.S. ambassador to Liberia before that. During her confirmation, Republicans did express concern that Thomas Greenfield would be soft on China because of a speech delivered at a Chinese-funded institute where she praised China's infrastructure program in Africa. She told senators that speech was a mistake and was not an endorsement of Chinese government policies. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Mississippi lawmakers are discussing a plan to phase out the state's personal income tax over 10 years, cut the grocery tax in half over 5 years, and increase other taxes. Leaders in the Republican-controlled State House are advancing those proposals. The pandemic has resulted in a rapid rise in car prices.
Experts say it's a case of fewer cars and too many buyers. The average new vehicle price jumped 6% between January of last year. That's before the coronavirus erupted in the United States in December to a record $40,578, according to data from Edmunds.com. The used car market surging by nearly 14%, roughly 10 times the rate of inflation, says a senior manager of insights at Edmunds.com. Don't expect the price to come down anytime soon. A senior economist for Cox Automotive predicts a tight used.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it. And once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world. So I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Millions of Americans are irrationally feared dead following a train derailment near Wilmington, Delaware.
Less than 200 people were aboard the train, but because no names have been released yet, countless more are being imagined trapped inside the wreckage by worried parents and overly anxious friends.
And the list of imagined victims is growing by the minute. From brothers-in-law who live in Delaware, who usually drive but could possibly have been on that train, to friends who went to Delaware on a business trip and may have been next to the tracks for some reason when the train derailed.
And sadly, we're getting reports that even those who have never been to Delaware are now also among those irrationally thought killed.
Oh, and we are just now getting word from Homeland Security that they're now warning people their fears may spiral into a wholly new fear that their loved ones never existed at all and are just byproducts of a drug-induced lucid dream in which their consciousness is currently imprisoned.
Such a shame, since this is reality.
There is nothing beyond this to believe otherwise. It would be folly.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Talk radio you control. You can talk about whatever you want. 603-283-6160. Maybe you want to scold these three white people sitting around talking about racism, how everyone should be treated equally regardless of their skin color. You can do that. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. You can call in and talk about whatever you want. Change the subject if you want. We're talking here largely about racism. Mark, you still haven't gotten into what exactly happened at this college.
At Smith College, yep. I will get into that. But we in the last segment, we're discussing sort of the comparative and contrasting differences of how some are oppressed and not oppressed
Right.
based on what their particular conditions are in reality today. And one thing I'd like to say is that there was definitely a time in U.S. history when being black sucked. And
well, it's probably not a walk in the park still. It probably is easier to be white than it is to be black in the United States.
I don't know the answer to that.
That's why I said probably.
It probably depends on where you are.
I think it depends on where you are, how you choose to dress, how you choose to talk, and the sort of activities in which you participate.
Right, but those are unrelated to skin color.
They are, and, you know, like some people will act like they're not, you know? Like Trayvon Martin was held up as a black martyr, but there was a big deal made about his hoodie. Now, his hoodie isn't black. In fact, it was white.
Trayvon Martin was the kid that was in, was it Miami or something like that?
Killed by George Zimmerman.
I think it was closer to Orlando. I think it was...
somewhere in Florida with a guy, George Zimmerman, who was like a neighborhood watcher kind of guy. Who was not white. Did he shoot the guy? Did he shoot Trayvon?
I think he shot and killed, yeah. Shot and killed the young man.
And he had like some candy and a soda or something that Trayvon did.
Now, we don't know whether Trayvon, like the story is very difficult to parse out, and Trayvon Martin is not here to testify, but there's no doubt that he was wearing a hoodie, right?
I would say his testimony is largely irrelevant. George Zimmerman was out of line.
I don't know if George Zimmerman had been in a fight and Trayvon Martin was after him and he was retreating and he shot. I don't know. I mean, the thing is that it's much easier
I've
to
retreated
defend.
from fights. I've never shot anyone.
Well, he was only in a fight with him. If he was in a fight, it was because he was picking on him, because he was, he thought Trayvon was somehow suspicious or whatever, and he was just a kid walking with some, soda pop.
In a homeowners association neighborhood, and he was part of the neighborhood watch or something like that. I don't know. I'm not here to hash that out. What I am saying is that Trayvon Martin would probably not be dead had he been wearing a tie.
Or he wouldn't be dead if some Karen from the neighborhood watch hadn't decided to shoot him and kill him.
I'm just saying that the case against the
I'm
Karen
wearing a hoodie right now.
Would be. I'm not claiming hoodies are bad. I am claiming, however, that
hoodies are only bad if you're black in a rich neighborhood.
Nope. Law enforcement officers think, and they do turn well into things that help hide your identity. I was just walking into a store today, noticing that I was pulling on my sock hat and had a mask on because it's the only way for me to go into my mailbox store, and that I'm like, I could be robbing this place. All they can see is just my eyes through here. There's nothing left. So yeah, I mean, people who rob sometimes would want to wear hoodies. It's convenient. Just saying. Not saying that people who wear hoodies are robbers, but robbers are more likely to wear hoodies.
Well, there's definitely it's a fact that people judge based on appearance. They prejudge,
including garb.
They stereotype, and I don't think you're wrong about that.
Yep. They'll judge you based on your car. They'll judge you based on your clothes. They'll judge you based on your height, your
that
good
doesn't
looks.
make it okay, but that's what happens.
I think that Rush Limbaugh is his old shtick about Uglo Americans becomes more and more insightful.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, he did.
We don't listen to that lunatic.
By the way, did you hear that they're going to keep him on the air?
Because they're going to do some best ofs?
Like till further notice, basically. They're saying that into the future, Rush Limbaugh will continue.
Well, is it his show with
they're going to have
Mark
an AI
Stein
doing his voice or something?
I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be like clips of Rush Limbaugh. So they're going to keep it rolling.
Well, he's got almost 30 years worth of stuff. For 40 years? I don't even know. I mean, it's so long.
They've been playing Art Bell shows for years past his death.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway,
Coast to Coast AM.
You wanted to compare
west of the Rockies
and contrast a trans woman's difficulties versus a successful white ex-convict's oppression.
I didn't want to do that.
Well, you said to wait. I had made the claim that you could pretend to be a man any day you wished. And I use the term pretend because you claim that your mind is that of a woman, right?
Sure.
Okay. And so you'd have to pretend to be a man because you are a woman on the inside. On the outside, you have the plumbing of a man.
You don't have to dress it up in, so much, hedging of the conversation. I would disagree that, I could just throw on a T-shirt and a pair of pants, not put on makeup, and no one would think anything about it.
Is it because of the red hair, the bright red fire engine red hair? Or
and the boobs, maybe.
You're growing some these days? I mean, I don't know. You wear loose clothing.
You missed the Republican meeting.
So
she was topless at the Republican meeting. There's video.
Oh, my.
There is.
Yeah.
It's on my YouTube channel.
What is the YouTube channel?
YouTube.com/Arya DeMezzo.
Wouldn't know how to spell that. So
Mark,
good
Lord, man. You've known me how long?
ARIADIMEZZO. Just like it sounds.
Okay. So
why did you ask? Do you plan on looking that up later?
Sure, maybe.
He is alone right now. His wife's away.
You could easily use an ace bandage and strap down whatever you've managed to grow with hormones over the course of the last few years, right? And then bammo, whammo, manhood. Just saying. It could be done.
Is the point of this whole conversation to hammer home the fact that you're a felon and so therefore you are the most discriminated against person?
I think that there's a reality between people who can switch on and off whatever it is that might cause them to be discriminated. I'm discriminated against often because I'm an a-hole, right? But I can choose not to be anytime I want.
I'm not sure about that.
On the inside, I'm an a-hole. Like, really, that's how I was born.
We believe you.
I was born an a-hole on the inside. But when I'm in mixed company, I know I have to behave myself. I can act like not an a-hole.
See, I don't want to compare and contrast discrimination. I just wanted to dispute the notion that I could, on a whim, just say, no, I'm a guy today.
Good. Would you like me to go through the Smith College, this woman, Jody?
Yeah, because I still don't know what happened.
Right. So this is from her resignation letter. Now, she's got lots of videos out there. She's been doing this over the course.
Who is this person?
She is a staff member who has resigned from Smith College because of the basically atmosphere of reverse racism that's going on there. Smith College is probably the most famous women's college in the world.
Is she white?
Yes.
Okay.
Under the guise of racial progress, Smith College has created a racially hostile environment in which individual acts of discrimination and hostility flourish. In this environment, people's worth as human beings and the degree to which they deserve to be treated with dignity. By the way, it's worth pointing out that she's an alum of Smith College.
And she works there.
Yes. To be treated with dignity and respect is determined by the color of their skin. It's an environment in which dissenting from the new critical race orthodoxy, or even failing to swear fealty to it like some of the McCarthy-era loyalty oaths, is grounds for public humiliation and professional retaliation. I can no longer continue to work in an environment where I am constantly subjected to additional scrutiny because of the color of my skin. I can no longer work in an environment where I am told publicly that my personal feelings of discomfort under such scrutiny are not legitimate, but instead are a manifestation of white supremacy. Perhaps, most importantly, I can no longer work in an environment where I am expected to apply similar race-based stereotypes and assumptions to others, where I am told when I complain about having to engage in what I believe to be discriminatory practices that there are legitimate reasons for asking employees to consider race in order to achieve a colleague's social justice objectives. I believe it was the San Francisco school board that very recently spent the entire time talking about a new board member who was a gay man who is has a kid in the school who is very active within the school board and the school. But because he was white, they spent the entire time talking about how it would be not diverse enough if they let a white gay man onto their board, and never got to whether or not we should open up because of COVID. I got a little bit more here.
Sounds like California.
Yeah, it's nuts out there, ladies and gentlemen.
More about this in just a moment, unless you want to call and comment on it. 603-283-6160.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio you control. You can call in and talk about anything that's on your mind. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. That's 603-283-6160. And with you tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And Mark.
I want to say thank you to Eric Haley, who is tonight's amplifier. This means he's a member of the AMP program. He's actually a gold level amplifier, which means he chooses to give $10 per month to the AMP program. Of course, we don't ask that. All it takes to join is $5 per month. That gets you in. It gets you a number of cool little perks, like an AMP-only call-in line, an AMP-only group an AMP-only chat at chat.freetalklive.com, and some other cool features. Plus, the biggest thing, it helps us get on more radio stations. Helps us to advertise, market, and promote Free Talk Live. Hence its name, amp.freetalklive.com. If you want to learn more about it, we do accept Bitcoin, and I think Bitcoin Cash.
No.
Okay, just Bitcoin. So,
if you want to do something else, you can just email me.
That's true as well.
If you want to amp with Bitcoin Cash, that is certainly possible, but you have to email
It's just not work directly into the website.
Yeah. At ian@freetalklive.com.
It's too much work to basically implement that on the website, and almost no one asks. So
thank you again to Eric Haley for that. We hope you enjoy it. We hope you continue amplifying the show. Mark, I got to ask that we move on here because we've been talking about this for like 4 segments, and we still have no idea what the hell happened with this lady.
Well, lady...
Other than that, she was like, you people are racist.
She's probably right. I mean, they probably are.
Is working in an environment, Smith College, where they have a woke culture, and
like every college,
right? There's not she never reveals the incident for her. She's talked about many other incidents in her videos and these sorts of things.
Well, it seems like she's doing the right thing. I mean, she's leaving a place where she's uncomfortable and where the situation sucks, and that's what people really ought to do. And it ought to include people who are at jobs where they're being told they have to wear a mask, for instance. People need to, if they don't like it, they ought to express themselves to the management. And then, if they're a good employee, they should be willing to take a walk.
I think that there's another issue here that's kind of worth pointing out is that the major colleges in the United States, the ones that we've always called the best schools, have taken a hard turn to the left, if that's what you want to call it. But more, I don't even know that identity politics is really leftist. I think it's just more insanity. But whatever.
When haven't these colleges been hard left? I mean, they've been left, always talked about that the whole time I've been alive.
Hard left, but not identity politics left. And there's a difference there, and that's what I'm trying to point out is that now, today, as a business owner, if somebody comes to you with a degree from Smith College or Harvard or Yale or wherever, Princeton, you're probably thinking about it differently than you did 10 years ago, just 10 years ago. And I think that that's an important thing to at least acknowledge in American culture is that some of the touchstones that we used to have, we knew when we were growing up that if somebody went to Harvard that they were super duper smart. And as a matter of fact, Tom Woods basically puts created his career on the fact that I'm smart, I went to Harvard, and I'm a libertarian. I'm Tom Woods. That's his whole shtick. And it's good, and it works, and he is smart, and he did go to Harvard, and he is a libertarian.
I had no idea what school he went to, and I don't care.
I know you don't care.
Your schools don't impress me much.
But would you agree that Harvard is one of the most impressive degrees that one could have?
I don't care about degrees. It doesn't impress me at all.
I didn't ask you whether it just impressed you or not.
Generally, they're from a very wealthy family.
It does not mean that. It does not.
Most of the time,
Harvard is an investment bank with an educational arm. They can give degrees to whomever they want now, and have been for some time. So they've been taking people in. As a matter of fact, there's a lawsuit against Harvard right now that they're discriminating against Asians because they make them achieve higher on test scores than they do for the white kids that get in.
People that pull themselves up by their own bootstraps is what impresses me, not school people.
I think that you can pull yourself up by bootstraps by having good academic scores.
Can't.
Well, I think it's a place to
good
start.
Good academic scores just means you can study for a test. Or,
you can memorize
whatever
the authorities have decided you should memorize.
Certain.
I say this as a college graduate, by the way. It was
the only one on the air.
It was a complete and total waste of time.
I graduated from community college.
Yeah, you got an associate's, right?
Yeah, it was a waste of time.
Yeah, as was mine. I mean, everything that I learned in IT, I learned from doing it. Nothing that I learned in school related to it was remotely helpful.
Yeah, me neither. In fact, I had to unlearn things they taught me in school.
Yeah, I would agree with all of that. But I think that there's many business owners now that still have not yet learned the lesson that you're saying, which is that college is largely useless, and you'd be better off hiring 3 people who weren't from college and trying them all out and finding the best one than you would be hiring one graduate from college and putting all your money behind that guy.
Well, if they don't figure it out, then they're going to lose. Maybe they'll lose in the market.
Yeah, well,
learn it the hard way.
Now, the question is currently, when people think of big degrees, they think of jobs like, lawyers in major cities, investment bankers, these kind of careers that make huge money.
Sounds awful, though.
And people work very hard at crappy jobs and drop out and, mental health issues and all these sorts of things. I'd say also for students that this path is probably not desirable.
Which path is that?
The path of going to one of these major colleges.
I'd say going to any college is an undesirable path. I mean, it's worse now than it's ever been with all these COVID mandates all over the place. I mean, for instance, Vincent, a former co-host here on Free Talk Live, he's been watching very closely what's been going on at Keene State College, and it is just absolute madness.
It is.
I mean, it is insane what is going on at these colleges, and they're all doing it. They're all shoving these COVID mandates down these kids' throats, and it is sick.
I've got a friend who's at college. He's majoring in music production. I'm like, dude, this is a waste of time. I can do everything that you're learning to do, and I taught it to myself, and it didn't cost me $18,000 a year.
Here's
or whatever.
a tutorial online.
Yeah. I mean, you can go onto YouTube right now and look up every video you would ever need to build an actual house. People have done this.
Oh, yeah. And it's true with music, too. I mean, I can't imagine the music industry cares about your degree. I can tell you the radio industry certainly doesn't. But there are jobs where it matters. If you wanted to be, say, a state senator, Ian, how many times have you run for state senator or governor?
I don't know. A few.
Yeah, several times. And
I don't think he
lost
because he didn't have
He's always lost to somebody with a degree. And I'll tell you this, almost everybody who's run for president in the United States, won the presidency in the United States, has gone to an Ivy League college or a military school.
Who cares?
It would be
That's
interesting.
not something to aspire to be a politician. I don't run for office because I care
I
about
hope good people
actually getting elected.
We were just talking about
it's just a tool to
Amash and Massey.
So it's just a tool to get in the news with the ideas of freedom. That's the only reason I run for office. I don't actually want to get elected. My God, that would be terrible.
Well, at this point, you haven't had to worry about getting elected.
That's right.
I don't think it's
I'm a
because he
libertarian.
doesn't have a college degree, though.
Arya, if you had won in the sheriff run, would you have taken office?
Yeah.
Okay. If I won any of the elections, as a matter of fact, I did win 3 elections, and I did take office for what it was worth. Small offices for party,
I hesitated a lot because it would actually be dependent upon whether or not I had to swear an oath of fealty to the United States. And a lot of elected offices do in New Hampshire.
They have that in the oath,
Yeah,
but the sheriff is not actually required to make that oath, from what I could tell.
I'd be surprised if that were the case.
And I doubt very seriously they're not going to let you into whatever office you won if you don't swear the oath. Or
By the way, Mark, you brag
stumble.
about getting elected. You were elected as a Republican delegate to the convention, which is a meaningless post.
Oh, I got
anyone
that.
can get. Yeah, she got that because she won the primary.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got elected. I was on the ballot, and people
You
voted
had no
for me.
opposition.
It's Free Talk Live.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Karl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger. That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's fff@fff.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
You can't win if you don't enter, and you actually can improve your chances of winning a prize drawing if you wrinkle up your entry blank. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com, and I speak from experience. Why this works: if they'll be spinning the drum before drawing, your entry blank will move around more than, and not adhere to, other perfectly flat entry blanks. And if they don't spin the drum and merely reach into a box full of other perfectly flat entry blanks, many of which are sticking together, yours will feel different to the person reaching in. When you win, act surprised. And if you're looking for work, this is a metaphor. For more tips on sticking out in a world where just too much blends into the blah, 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 hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. 603-283-6160 is the call-in line. You can call in, talk about whatever you want. With you tonight, it's Aria.
It's Ian.
And Mark.
And you can join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June the 28th through July the 4th Fest for Forkfest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Beautiful mountains, beautiful camping grounds. Forkfest is the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival. But Forkfest is decentralized, which means that no one is in charge and there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June the 28th through July the 4th, and you're in. But if you want to talk to other Forkfesters or plan something, check out the website, forkfest.party. You can find links to the Telegram chat there. There is also a forkfest.com if you want to get a quick preview of what sort of vendors have already signed up. So check it out, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July the 4th. It's going to be an awesome thing. And it may be the only convention festival thing that happens this year because it doesn't look like COVID or the government is letting up anytime soon. Let's go to the phones. We've got Dave calling from New Hampshire. Dave, you're on Free Talk Live.
How do you like me now that I'm living in New Hampshire?
Congratulations.
This is Dave from New Mexico.
Oh, yeah. I put
NH.
It's force of habit. I say New Hampshire a lot more than I do New Mexico. Sorry, David.
What's up?
Right. College. So the college may have started out for the purpose of educating you, but now 90% of the purpose of colleges and universities is indoctrination, programming, brainwashing, and filtering, using it as a mechanism to filter out undesirables from those that will be allowed into the institutions, the power structures of government, whether by elected officials or administrators or high-end corporations that play footsie with the government. That's the entire reason of the university structure. Like the University of New Mexico, that's the purpose. And they do things like, first of all, you need to apply and be accepted, right? And then you need to pay them off their extortion money, right? And then you need to be graded all the way along, and anytime somebody doesn't like you, they want you out of the program so that you don't have future control. They just fail you or reduce your grades enough that you don't get the most desirable jobs based on your grade.
This happens a lot, and young people are very concerned with this, and they write, you can find it all over the internet, where young people are saying, hey, look, I'm in for a penny, in for a pound on this degree, and if I don't get it, then I don't get whatever the job is that I want to get in the future, and so I've got to parrot these lines that these people say. I've got to, when they ask me for an essay on why whiteness is bad or whatever the hell rambling crap that they've got going on, I've got to fill it out in the proper way. This is how they decide. This is how they vet these things.
But some of them aren't just parroting. Some of them actually do adopt these beliefs.
They do.
I mean, remember
I parroted
that guy?
the crap when I was in college.
Okay, but remember the guy that he still calls in. His name's Dan. He calls from Nebraska. And he used to be like this incel sounding guy, and then he went to college and he got a college girlfriend, And now, all of a sudden, like for the last few years, he's total leftist, and he still calls in. He's just got a completely different viewpoint. And I don't think he's pretending.
Well, I did pretend, except with one instructor, one of my English comp instructors, who was she made it clear that she was a friend of Reagan. So anytime I had to write anything, I just chose to write about the free market. But with all the other ones, yeah, it was all, oh yeah, carbon emissions bad, wokeism, you know. But I mean, you're just.
I think you can make a better case on carbon emissions than you can on identity politics.
You're just playing a character at that point. I mean, it doesn't matter what that
it's
professor
not acting
thinks
school.
Of me. I'm just. It is though.
And
I don't
so
care
if
what
you
they
don't-
think of me. I just need that grade. Thank you. Thanks for the grade.
If you don't get the grade, then you don't get the degree. If you don't get the degree, then you can't sit for the board examinations or whatever and get your license. And then if you do get a license, then they have that holding over you. They can revoke your professional license for anything, even including failure to pay your child support. You can no longer work. How's that for a good one? You didn't pay your child support, so now we're going to take away your ability to work, so you can even better pay your child support, right? So they do things to you like that as well. It goes all the way up. And then remember that all of the taxpayers are funding the whole racketeering organization, because the universities are not funded by tuition. That's just one small part of it. They get most of their funding from taxes and from kickbacks from corporations for doing this and doing that and doing the other thing. So it's a racketeering outfit from top to bottom that includes the entirety of the government and all of these colleges and universities and the corporations that are playing along with them. Don't hire college graduates. Get into a business that does not require by law people who have some sort of a certificate.
Well, certificates are a different matter. Like if someone came up to me looking for a job back when I managed my IT firm, and one of them had a 2-year associate's degree and whatever, and the other one had an A+ certification from CompTIA, I'm going to go with the guy with the certification.
Yeah,
Why
I mean
is
from
that?
the colleges.
Well, you can't
I mean from the colleges and universities, especially the public ones.
So why is it? Tell me about these certs. I don't know nothing about these certs.
A certification just shows that he's smart enough to not waste 2 years in college to get the same level of knowledge.
Okay.
Yeah, I was not. I didn't mean. Let me restate. I didn't mean. I should have discerned between private certification, which is what I recommend, as opposed to the public colleges and universities certification, which is a racket.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't think anyone here does. Dave, thanks so much for the call.
Yep. Well, he doesn't need to disagree with us in order to call in. I think that it brings up a.
Oh, he makes an excellent
point.
point. Yeah. College is definitely a waste of time.
And money.
Well,
I mean, I'm so glad I didn't go to 4-year college. I mean, I only wasted 2 years, and I didn't have debt after I left that thing. Man, these
I had
poor
scholarship, so I didn't have to do it.
So
to me, that's the number one test. If you have to pay to go to college, that's your number one sign that you're not smart enough to go to college.
Well, that is a system that doesn't work universally, right? Like if everybody who was smart enough to, or wasn't smart enough to get some kind of scholarship, didn't pay, then everybody who got a scholarship would have to pay because the college wouldn't get enough money. But
that doesn't mean they belong there.
I like systems that work for the individual, and that is a system that has been recommended more than one time by some very successful people here on the air, is that if go to all the school you can get for free. And I think that that's a fair thing to say, which means, by the way, do well in school so that you can get to go to school for free. But another thing I'd like to point out, Ian, is that you are kind of a fringe case in so much as you were very successful in your youth as an entrepreneur. And whereas
plenty of people can be entrepreneurs if they actually try and go out and do that. But college and government school destroys those ideas. It tells people that they have to get a job, that they have to work for somebody else, they have to have a career. And it dissuades people from being entrepreneurial.
I knew a lot of people from 18 to 22 that were basically doing nothing. And, you know, they might have made a paycheck, but the paycheck wasn't getting them any further in life. They were, punching a clock and just making a few bucks.
Sure.
And those people probably would be better off had they got a degree that they could point back to.
I don't know about that. Not if they're in debt.
Right. Well, debt today is different. than it was when we were kids. I mean, the amount of debt
it sucked back then too. I'm
sure,
pretty sure.
But look, man, I paid for my community college with a check. Okay,
you
I went
didn't
in.
have debt.
I had a whole semester, and I paid for it out of pocket. But now you're talking about $45,000 per year.
Not for a community college.
I don't know what it is for a community college. I'm just saying
it ain't going to be $45,000 a year.
Okay. Is it as much of a waste to go to community college if the price is a tenth? Okay,
It's a waste
so
of
you're
time.
already making the argument that community college is a waste of time. Why are you arguing about price?
$1,865 is the average cost of tuition for one semester at a community college.
That does not sound right to me.
I'm not arguing.
$1,800, only $2,000 for a semester?
Yep.
Is that a full, whatever, 18 credits or whatever?
These people, the number of credits you take is irrelevant. But the people who, we'll talk more about it in a moment, 603-283-6160.
The local college is 10 grand.
It's Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live.
I actually tried to delete my own Facebook, and it only lasted 2 days. I couldn't get off it. It was tough. They won't delete it. They want you to come back. They know you're going to come back because it's like a drug. They know you're coming back for it. They're crazy like that.
Some people I went to grad school with, they would give their password to somebody else and tell them to change it so they couldn't log it back on and give it to them after finals were over.
My problem is my password is after my dog's name, Buster, so I actually name all my passwords that.
So what's your
Right, what I'm saying is...
But what's your username?
He's my little bub.
Okay, but you could give someone...
He's very nice.
Okay, so
everybody loves Buster.
I just want to say thank you for redeeming this.
You might
This
want
is
to go
great.
change all your passwords
Yeah,
now.
she's suggesting
well, it's not just Buster. I use capital letters and numbers.
Okay, but...
Great call, man. Thanks for making it. I appreciate it.
I hope that was fake.
Thank God. Of course it was. It was hilarious.
What are you talking about?
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. Local.bitcoin.com. Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Is oral health important to you? If you don't like your own teeth, fresh breath, or kissing people, then by all means stop listening. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I became passionate about the product that she created and never want to live without it. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, but I find it does much more. They want you to love My Magic Mud as much as I do, so they're giving you a money-back guarantee plus 20% off. Go to mymagicmud.com and use coupon code FTL20 at checkout. mymagicmud.com, FTL20.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live with Arya, Ian, and Mark tonight. And Mark, you had another story that I really wanted to get into. It's incredibly fascinating. An Asian American was attacked, it would seem. I think you said this took place in New York City?
Yep.
So tell us about this, because it starts out stupid, right? Somebody being attacked, that's terrible. But it gets worse.
Right. So this is from Russia Today, which is a propaganda arm of the Russian government. This appears to be an accurate story, but I like to stick with the source that I found when I found it. Now, mind you, just because the Russian government has a propaganda source doesn't make the things false, and just because something's heard on Voice of America does not make it true. So, follow Voice of America on Twitter, like I do.
No, don't.
Do you feel the need to point out that Russia Today is an arm of the Russian government every single time?
Yep, I do.
Do you do the same for the BBC?
I think the BBC is clear.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, like, that's the only news there. I do it for CBC. Sure. I do it pretty often. I like to do that.
Okay.
Yes. And, I would consider Russia a nefarious actor.
Why?
The bombing of the flight out of the shooting down of a flight out of Amsterdam kind of bothers me.
I haven't heard about that.
Taking over, they during the Ukrainian conflict there, when they were trying to take over eastern Ukraine and took over Crimea and stuff, Russian forces, perhaps the Russian military, certainly people with Russian weapons, shot down a Dutch airliner.
See, I would agree that the Russian government is nefarious, just as the American government is.
Okay, I wouldn't say the same way or the same depth of nefariousness. There's differences.
The United States government dropped 2 atomic bombs on civilian populations. I think they're way ahead of the game on who's more nefarious.
The United States is actively invading the Middle East. I don't think the Russians are doing that, right?
Not today.
I mean, they lost in Afghanistan a long time ago.
They sure did.
That was
before
the
Soviet Union.
end of the Soviet Union.
Yep. I don't like either of them. I would say that if you're talking about deaths since X date, likely the United States government has more than Russia.
It's probably a lot harder to be trans in Russia, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do suck for that. New York activists respond to brutal attack on Asian men by rallying against white nationalism, even though the culprit was black. Anti-racism activists in New York have...
The sad thing is, it doesn't really matter if this is true or not, because I could see this
highly
happening.
Believable.
Yeah.
Right.
But was he a black white nationalist?
It could be.
Clayton Bigsby.
Yeah. God, that Dave Chappelle is just a genius. He's just so great.
By the way, speaking of white nationalists, Chris Cantwell is expected to be sentenced tomorrow morning.
Yeah, the Keene Sentinel had a story. I thought when I read the story, I felt a little betrayed by you, because the thing that you talked about Cantwell was that he had said, mean things to this other white nationalist, and I didn't really care about that. But his other charge was, he had 2 charges, and the other one actually seemed bad and wrong, and likely that he did.
No, it was the same white nationalist that he was talking with. One charge was, Cantwell has done some, bad and wrong things.
He's a gross dude.
No doubt about that. But at least in this particular case, all he did was talk crap to another person who is just as bad, if not worse, of a character than he was on the Telegram app. And one of the charges was interstate threats, and the other one was interstate extortion. Those aren't the exact names of the charges, but that's essentially what they were, federal charges. And so, yeah, it was just 2 white nationalist, awful human beings just attacking one another over the internet. That's what this was all about.
It only benefited the cause of white nationalism to have one of them removed and put in jail.
That's correct. Yeah, the federal government, by targeting him, ultimately reduced the amount of strife within the white nationalist community.
Well, that may very well be true. I wish I could remember off the top of my head what it was that I saw in the article that I was like, oh, I wish I'd have known that when I was calling Cantwell a political prisoner, because it does seem very much like he, in many ways, is, being held for his opinions, and one presumably should not be held for their opinions in the United States of America.
Well, that is why he's being held.
Mm-hmm.
The FBI wanted to help the cause of white supremacy by reducing the amount of strife in it, so they sought one out and they took one off the playing field.
Arguably, the FBI wanted to go and raid him to get access to his things and see what they could learn, likely, from his things. That's my guess on this one. And, they've hit him with charges because they can.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
Well, they needed an excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he was going to ruin the Bull Patrol and dox them, reveal their true identity.
Bull Patrol.
I don't really care about any of that.
The Bull Patrol is a group of white nationalists, racists, whose fanaticism around the Dylan Roof character, who was the murderer of the South Carolinian church. If you remember that from years ago, he went in and shot up a church. There was news about that. He had a bull haircut, and so the Bull Patrol named themselves after his haircut. They targeted Chris Cantwell's show. Initially, I think they were fans of him, but then they flipped and they turned against him. And then
these are all irascible, disgusting individuals.
They are. Yeah. Bull Patrol arguably is even more despicable than Chris Cantwell is, if you can believe that. There's a good argument that they're even worse of human beings than Chris Cantwell. And so Cantwell sadly made the mistake of becoming obsessed with his haters and targeted them back with the same sort of behavior, and ultimately it escalated. But it only escalated to conversations on Telegram. I mean, it's not like
it didn't escalate very far.
Yeah, he didn't show up with a can of bear spray at this guy's house or anything like that.
Here's one thing. So Cantwell posted photos of this guy and his family and the street where they lived in an online chat group. And called Child Protection Services in Missouri. Right. That's what I'm saying. This is the thing.
Well, the state shouldn't be a weapon that one white nationalist can use against another in the first place.
Agreed, but he used it.
Well, he's for the state.
I know.
He's a statist now.
But don't expect me to say that this is a good thing. This is a bad thing.
Well, I don't agree with sending threats to people online. That's also a bad thing, but it's not criminal.
It shouldn't be. At this point, I don't even know that he threatened in the traditional way that I would call a threaten.
He threatened to rape the man's wife, or to have sex with the man's wife.
Right. So that's not rape.
That's right.
Right. So sex.
He didn't He didn't add the contingency that if your wife consents.
Right.
But he also
I understand, but that's
sort of disregarding the question of whether or not a woman consents.
He also didn't say that
rapey.
but he also didn't say that she wouldn't have consented. There's also the possibility that he'd already had sex with the man's wife by consent and was just going to do it because he said he was going to have sex with her in front of his children at that point.
Right, he used the F word, but the F word isn't the S word,
and it's not the rape
the R word. Excuse me. So I'm not willing to call that part a threat. I am willing to say that it is an aggressive act to call Child Protection Services to get an investigation started against somebody and have their children removed because they wouldn't give you information on somebody you didn't like.
But that's no lower than what the Bull Patrol people would be willing to do either.
No doubt.
So, I mean, these people are literally at the bottom of the bowl.
Look, the fact that they should be locked up too, I don't know.
No, they shouldn't. None of these people should be locked up. Let them fight each other.
Exactly.
Let them fight. That would be fine. I don't care.
In fact, it's worth pointing out that I don't want to give them credit, but to the Bull Patrol guy's credit, he did not report it to the FBI. They found it because their agents are infiltrating these groups, and they found this Bull Patrol guy talking about what Cantwell said to him, posting screenshots of it in one of their little Telegram chats. And he called up his FBI agent, called up another FBI agent, and said, "I just saw in this Bull Patrol group." And then
I couldn't get FBI agents to do anything but documented threats that I had. Nothing.
That's right.
You're not a white nationalist.
You actually have a lunatic who has threatened your family's lives.
Yeah, let's keep the name out of it.
I'm not
because
going
at this point
to say his name.
He has not done anything since he has been warned. So
Right.
I'm
But
glad.
you had that happen, and the FBI has not done anything about that.
Okay.
So.
Yep. But it wasn't the FBI that did anything. It was a private security contractor.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
Interesting.
I got some recommendations if you guys have security issues or want to take firearms classes. I got a guy who does a really great job. You can email me at mark@freetalklive.com.
Well, the FBI didn't do anything for you because you're not a white nationalist.
Okay.
I mean, that's pretty much the only point I wanted to
They
make.
did something for Ben Shapiro, who was rated by Talkers Magazine as so he was the 25th. We are currently the 25th rated talk show in the nation. Is that right, Ian?
That's right, as of 2020.
Ben Shapiro was the 25th at the time. This was in 2019. So we were number 26. Ben Shapiro called up the FBI, said, hey, somebody's threatening me. 3 days. They got the guy. They got him locked up. By the way,
I do hope that Cantwell gets time served. He does not deserve to go to prison for any longer than what he's done on this, which is already a year.
I don't see any point in that. I would agree with you on that. I want to just give the plug if I can. It's ForceVars Concepts. That's ForceVars Concepts. And that's the security company. They're great.
All right, you might want to post that to social media, which people would be able to find at social.freetalklive.com. Thanks for listening.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is